Hello and welcome back to the channel for score predictions with a view. Not a bad view, is it? And yeah, we are on Thursday. It was supposed to go out yesterday. Unfortunately, our time just kind of ran out a little bit. But we have been doing a weekly score prediction video, and we're going to do that now because there is a match tonight, France versus Namibia. We've got Argentina versus Samoa tomorrow, which we're going to be doing at the fan park. I'm going to be going to the fan park to watch from there, which is going to be very cool. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to be running through the fixtures. I'm going to be giving you guys some of my thoughts and some of my score predictions, and we'll revisit the video in a week's time, or rather you can revisit the video in a week's time. I tend not to do it because it's not been particularly good so far. I don't really want to relive the bad predictions. First weekend was pretty good from a fantasy perspective, but dreadful from a SUPERBRU perspective. So let's go through it, shall we? We start with France versus Namibia. Now the question is just how many tries, how big of a scoreboard are we looking at? New Zealand hammered Namibia very, very easily as well. So you expect a lot of tries tonight, and you expect a lot of points. The question is how many. Namibia have been pretty poor, to be honest. Talk about them being brave, and yes, it's a whole different golfing quality, different class teams really on display. But at the end of the day, Namibia just can't compete. So you look at France versus Namibia. I'm going to go with a 70+ points difference. I do think that France, having gone basically full strength, are going to basically decimate them in every single facet of the game. I don't really see where they managed to cope, and I think that France are in need of a statement game. They beat New Zealand, which was a statement with regards to the opposition. Wasn't their best performance, very good for the last 20 minutes, which started to show their class. Then a bit of an iffy game against Uruguay, so they'd like to do a bit more. So I think this is going to be potentially their statement game. Tomorrow we've got Argentina versus Samoa. Again, I'm going to go to Argentina by 20. Argentina as well need a bit of a statement win after losing against England in their first encounter. They have had a couple of weeks break, so they need to come back and bounce back properly. So a bigger game coming up for them. Georgia versus Portugal should be an interesting one. Portugal not won a World Cup game. Georgia were a little bit disappointing against Australia, so hoping to see them sort of come to the occasion. I'm going to go with Georgia by 15. I'm not going to go too high. But I do think that the Georgians are a quality side that can get a job done on the right day. I was really disappointed. I thought they would really be able to push a struggling Wallaby side a little bit more than they did. But hopefully against Portugal on Saturday, they'll start to show us what they can do. So I'm going to go with Georgia by 15 points there. England versus Chile. Vamos! They are a team that are capturing the hearts of everyone here in France. A big travelling support, a lot of passion, a very cool team. And yeah, I'm on the lookout potentially for a jersey as well. I might actually put myself behind Chile. But England are playing well. They played against Japan and Argentina, which are the two hardest teams in their group, and they put them away relatively easily. George Ford's playing some brilliant rugby, and if he continues to show that form, there could be quite a lot of points. So I want to go England by 35 points. I do think Chile will score. I think they're a side that seems to know how to score, and I do think that they will find a way to score this weekend. But I do think that it will be quite a large scoreline. So I'm going to go England by 35. South Africa versus Ireland, very close game. The game of the weekend, arguably the game of the group stages, could even be the game of the World Cup. Very, very close to how I expect to see. I don't see more than 7 to 10 points at a push in terms of the margin. So I'm going to go South Africa. I'm going to back my South Africans. I'm going to go South Africa by 5. On Sunday, we then have Scotland versus Tonga. Scotland making their return to the World Cup stage after a week off. They're taking on a Tongan side, which weren't particularly impressive about a week ago. So I'm going to go with Scotland. I'm going to say Scotland by 15. I think the week off might mean it might take a while for them to get back into the swing of things. But if they can get going, I think they can definitely put 25 to 30 points past this Tongan side. I do expect Tonga to score as well. And I think they're a side that plays test match rugby these days. So they'll take the points, they'll try and build, they'll go to the corner. They are very much, I think, a bit more of a test match side than they were traditionally. And then we've got Wales versus Australia as the last game of the weekend. We will actually be at that game. That is over in Lyon on Sunday night. And a big game. Wales potentially, well, currently topping their log. Win that game, not only will be in the quarterfinals, but they would have topped that log, which I'm not sure too many people would have thought about, or would have thought have happened, given all the sort of tumultuous time that Wales have had getting in here. But despite maybe not looking 100%, the results have gone their way. So I'm going to go with the Wales victory. I'm going to go with Wales by 6. I think this Australian side has got some good players, but I think they're ready to struggle to settle in, and I don't see them pitching up and getting a result on Sunday. So those are my predictions. I want yours in the comments below. I want to know how you guys are doing in the SUPERBRU League. If you haven't joined it, go and join it. It is down in the description. And let's see how close I get, which is usually not very. But those are my predictions from here in Paris. Let me know what yours are.
Confidence in the management team with this split. And I think just in general, looking at the Ireland team, I see they've gone with the 5-3 split. So they've made it clear that they're not going to compete at all with South Africa. They're just going to have to stick to what they do. So for us, I think it's just going to be a power game. I don't see the ball going past 12, but yeah, we'll chat more about that. I just think South Africa's made a clear statement. We won up on them. I say the more haters speak about us, the more good we're doing in the sense of our innovation. For many years of rugby, I think South Africa was following the trend, and now we're setting the trend. So that's actually quite exciting.
Yeah, and your predictions for the game? How do you see it playing out?
So based on the Ireland team running through it with the 5-3 split, I just think if South Africa are somewhat ahead, let's say come 55, 60 minutes in, and we bring on those replacements, I don't see Ireland getting back in the game. So it's going to be critical that the starters, as they would call them, lay that platform. So we don't want Ireland to be ahead at any stage. But if we are, should we be ahead, my prediction is that we'll close the game off with what we have on the bench.
Yeah, it's going to be another interesting case scenario of the bomb squad versus who's on the field for Ireland, right? Yeah, Wes. So interestingly enough, the bookies have the books between 1 and 3 points favorites. So we got Ireland, the number one team in the world, haven't lost many in the last 2 years, beaten us last time out with only played them once in the last 5 years. Are Springboks the favorites, or what's your feeling? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just on a knife edge. I think if you look at form, I think the teams are probably quite evenly matched. I think obviously Ireland haven't lost a game, I think, in 15 games. So it's their longest winning record, I believe. But the Boks building nicely, not having the undefeated record that the Irish do. But I know I'm just waffling because I really don't have an answer in terms of are the Boks the favourites. Me personally, I think no. I think you have, if you're looking at form and history, that's what we're basing favourites on, then I think you have to say Ireland are the favourites just by virtue of the fact that they haven't lost a game in 15 games and they are pretty much full strength, more or less, right? Like if you think about starting selections, we've obviously lost Malcolm Marx, which is a massive blow to the Boks, and there's a few players, who aren't there, but yeah, I don't think Ireland will win, and that's probably my South African bias coming through, though. I do think the Boks will pip them, but I do think in general they should be the favourites going into it, given the form and the players on the field.
Chris, just to add on to that quickly, I think Ireland, in my opinion, as they say, they know how to win games. South Africa know how to win World Cup games.
Yeah, Ruudz. You've read my mind there, my man. I saw comments exactly that somewhere in one of the preview videos. Ireland
Great
at the moment. That's it, man. That's it. Yeah, exactly that. For Ireland at the moment are kind of like the perfect systems process team that justify their number one, and then you've got us that look, we are World Cup specialists, and we seeming to be peaking because I agree with I wasn't so optimistic and upbeat about the Boks as I know a lot of other people were, but it does look like we're timing and making a nice timed run here, and the team is looking good. However, saying that, like I said, whereas I would have had Ireland 1 to 3 favorites. I still think this is our test. This for me will show us exactly where the Boks are, and I still think Ireland are a far more polished team, and if we don't get a few things our way with this team, and with this, we're taking a risk. We could see ourselves in a little bit of trouble. But if it goes according to plan, we could easily run out 5-7 point winner. Scottsy, how do you see this going? What's your thoughts on this team? I know you probably discussed it Tuesday, but now that you've seen Ireland lineup, where's your head at?
Yeah, I think most of Tuesday's discussion was we got thrown off a little bit by what happens if our 13 is injured and we decided that it was that we'd just chuck one of the forwards. I think it was Kwacha would just go there and we'll figure it out. But no, I think it's as Wes said, it's on a nice edge. I think it's South Africa's to lose in the first half. I think we struggle. As soon as we go behind, we don't have that points advantage. At least by if we're more than 7 out at half time, I think we're going to struggle. But if we're within that striking distance of 5 points and under by the time the bomb squad come on, I think it's then ours to lose. So game of halves. I really like, to be honest, that Ireland have gone with the 5-3 split. I think it would have shown, it would have been quite funny had they gone a 6-2 split, just because
it would have given a lot away.
Them around world rugby in general. Even the 6-2 split was getting the hate that the 7-1 split is getting at the last World Cup, right? So it's like, you doubt. It's like, and then if you can't beat them, join them, right? So fair play to them. They've jumped on board, like, and they're sticking to their guns, and that's how they've got to world number 1. So, fair play.
Yeah, that's exactly that. If they had gone a 6-2, everyone would have been okay, fair enough. But I mean, obviously a 7-1 would have been a complete, oh, we worried, yeah, we need to go match for match. But they are, like you said, sticking to their guns. And I think if they stick to their guns and have a good game, they're still going to be really, really tough to beat, right? I just don't know. I thought Jocks and Rassi were bluffing on the 7-1. I didn't call it, didn't see it actually happening at the biggest game of the year so far, right? Are you, like, do you guys have any thoughts? I mean, because, yeah, sure, we got these jack of all trades, but would you not want a Moody at 13 as opposed to Reinach in there in the last 20 minutes if Jesse goes down and Willems has to play 10? Or, I mean, how confident that you think this is actually going to work here? Do you think this is going to you guys think this is going to work for the books or backfire? You can have a shot, any of you, if you have a view.
I think for the sake of Ireland and their selection on the bench, they've obviously gone the smart route for them and their squad, and given themselves the best position to win, because as we've mentioned and as people have spoken about it, if they're going to try and match South Africa with even a 6-2, I don't think they've earned the right to put a 6-2 bench on the field, let alone a 7-1. So they've been smart in their selections, I guess, for the sake of them. And they are the most technically sound team behind the French, I would say, in this tournament. But then you kind of look at Rassi and Jacques and you find them to be just that tad smarter. So who's going to be the smarter one on the night? I'm backing Rassi and the boys, because South Africa are playing to their strengths and we are not hiding it in the least.
Yeah, and we'll leave this for the end of the show, because I think we need to bring out the whole moral aspect of this 7-1. We'll do that later. I'm happy to throw my name down the gutter again. Done it already. So, but we'll discuss it at the end of the week. But it is an interesting conversation, because it obviously extends to the rules and what Matt Williams was saying about the younger guys who will potentially want to copy this. But we'll discuss that later down the line. And interesting you say game of 2 halves, guys. We'll get to when we get to my betting segment. I've called the exact same thing. I think Ireland are not changing anything, but we're getting one hell of an Ireland blitz in the first 30 minutes. And I'm liking the bet that Ireland are ahead at halftime, because I think they know that's the best way they're going to beat us. And I think they're going to go hammer. They're going to take it out of the New Zealand playbook in Albany, and they're going to go for it. So we'll discuss that later. So I think we'll see how that goes.
Chris, if I can jump in there, like if you look at the Scotland game, right? I mean, Scotland came out firing in the first 20, 25, 30 minutes in the first half, right? But really noticeably in that first 20 minutes, and they kept us. Was it 6-3 at the half, or 3-0, or whatever it was?
Yes,
it
was 6-3, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay, so a 3-point difference there in the first half, and they were able to contain, the Springboks, and then obviously it opened it up, and Marnie LeBock's lovely cross kick. So, and that's Scotland, who I think we can, objectively say aren't as good as an Irish team. So an Irish blitz, and no disrespect to Scotland, they were 5th in the world at the time. I'm just saying, compared to Ireland. So I think, looking at an Irish blitz for 20 minutes, that's a different kind of blitz. So we'll have to see. But just having a quick chat here, PVN saying 7-1 split decoy for another trick up their sleeve. Everyone can focus on that, but they don't know what next surprise will be. So that could be another ploy as well, right? They revealed one hand, with the 7-1 split against the All Blacks, and now all of a sudden it could be something different.
Well, we can't actually write that off, I think.
No,
honestly,
you can't.
Not against the All Blacks. Willie pulled out and was replaced during the warm up. I mean, I don't know what the rules are around, checking that the person you pulled out on the during the warm up or on the match
Yeah.
day is in fact injured. Like who's there to validate that? You know?
Yeah.
I hear you, Scalzi, but I think I'm confident to say Rassi and them have studied those rules. They've got medals for those
Yeah,
rules.
no, they know.
But it's so true, because a lot of players are going down in warm-ups. So Italian Cup 3, I've noticed 3 gone down in warm-ups lately, more than usual. So I think the mind games are very, very at play here, because team selection is important. I mean, everyone's just like, wow, we get it, okay? Springboks bring the team out early because they say they don't like it to be leaked, because eventually it does. But things change, and I mean, obviously, it does feel like it gives the other team an advantage to really study and really try to understand what's going on. But how often does it change? So yeah, I do like the justification that if all these guys know at Monday what they got 7 days, they don't have to be like, am I playing until Thursday, because they're trying to hide it. I think that has actually really, I think they did that, and it seemed like it's worked, right? Because the guys, even the players, have said they love the fact that they know on Monday, the public know, they can just get to work, So yeah, gonna be an interesting game, and in a great way. At least it's not fatal, right? At least it's not the end of the road. It'll be lovely. It'll be lovely if we do beat them and get the Scots put a hell of a lot of pressure on them, and then we can see them possibly later in the final, But anyway, yeah, we'll move on to the other games for the weekends. I know I don't know if you guys touched on, we obviously got France, Namibia tonight. France picking a decent side there. I think poor Namibia, New Zealand straight into France. I think that's going to be a bit of a long. I think France have to prove, this is typical France. Beat New Zealand, struggle Uruguay, massive win. I see a massive win for Namibia. Do you guys feel the same way?
What's the spread on the Namibia-France game, Chris?
It's like 76, high 70s, I believe. Very high.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night, I think, for the Namibians. I mean, I think France saw what they left out on the field against Uruguay, not getting
Sorry, I apologize. It's 69. I thought it was higher than that, but it's 6. The All Blacks were 72. That's quite interesting. You would think All Blacks had more changes, but France looked like they're about 70% strong, right? 80% full strength, I would say. Dupont's playing.
Yeah.
Janabed, wings. Yeah.
He's back. It's huge. Yeah. No, I think they saw a huge missed opportunity on the bonus point against Uruguay. I mean, you really don't want to be leaving those out there and leaving up. I mean, I guess the side of the draw dictates South Africa or Ireland for them, so it's not massive, but you still want to end up your group at first. You don't want to be overtaken because of a bonus point system that's working against you. So, long night is going to be ahead for me. Yeah, no, I agree. I think we all agree with that. I think we could go. Anyone got anything to add onto that game as we can move on to quite an interesting group, the Samoa and Samoa and
Argentina.
Yeah, Argentina. Sorry, thank you very much. Yeah, Argentina. That's going to also be another cracking game.
I mean, I think there, Chris, I'm really looking forward to see what the Argentines can do. Right. I mean, I think we were all quite disappointed, and not just only because they had an opportunity to rain on England's parade, but it was just more the case of there's some sort of kinship with the Argentines being in the Championship Rugby, right? Being in the Southern Hemisphere. And I think we were wanting them to do well for a number of reasons. So I do think, I hope that they've had a long, hard look at themselves in the mirror, and they've been working hard on the training ground, and they come out and attempt to make a statement. Now, Samoa is not going to take that lying down, right? Interestingly, actually, Samoa's got the best record against Argentina of any Pacific Island nation. So they've got history on their side. But this is a different Argentine side since they last played. So no, it's going to be a good match to watch.
Yeah, Ruudz, how do you? I mean, the cap year is 13 points, and I know Samoa have they only played 11 tests, I believe, since the last World Cup, and you could see that against Chile, right? That first off was typical. So I was chatting with my friends watching it. We got everything that Samoa had offered in that game. Not head not in it, mistakes, physicality, yellow cards. We got everything. Some brilliant tries. So, Ruudz, how do you see after the back of Argentina's probably let's face it, probably one of the worst performances since like the 90s. I can remember that was Argentina of old. They hadn't been that not solid, or at least putting up a fight. How do you see this one going? Because I think it's far more closer than 13 points, because I think for me, Argentina will struggle if Samoa have had their run out. I feel they've got their green one under the belt, and I think they're going to give RGs a run. What do you think, Ruudz?
Yeah, Chris, I hear you on the spread there in terms of history suggesting Argentina will take this one comfortably. If you say 13 points, I think what's interesting about the tier 2 nations, from what I'm seeing, is like they're able to put together maybe 50, 60 minutes of good rugby. And then from then onwards, I think the teams that are playing more often, as you mentioned, are able to put the full 80 minutes together. So that's becoming evident. So I just hope that Samoa catch Argentina at a time where they actually lost to a very average England team, if we can be honest. All those drop goals, something out of the ordinary, if you could say. But yeah, England never really offered much on attack, in other words. So for Argentina, they could use that as motivation. They are a very passionate side in terms of using their emotion to gain ascendancy in the game. But I think, if anything, Samoa do have an opportunity in this game, but they're going to have to put together more than 50 minutes. So coming out the blocks firing won't be enough. But there is a bigger possibility from what we've seen in the World Cup so far, tighter games than we've ever witnessed. So for these tier 2 nations, I think it's quite exciting. So yeah, there is an opportunity. So I think 13 is flattering Argentina a bit. But the Argentina we know in Super Rugby should be the Argentina that puts Samoa away comfortably. But we're at the point now where it's actually quite interesting, yeah?
Yeah, I agree. Scotty, I don't know if you've seen some team news. I see SUPERBRU's out, Danny Tuala's on the bench, Jordan Tofu's on the bench. Obviously, no Lavanini for Argentina. Creamer and Matera were really going, they're the only ones seemingly cared the other day. On the back of some big names out there, are you seeing an Argentina come back and winning comfortably, or at least winning, I suppose?
Yeah, I think that it's got to be right for them. It'll be a very, very sad day for Argentina rugby, seeing the progress they've made, especially starting off the season beating Australia. You know, in Australia, that was massive, and they instantly kind of became a top 6 contender in everyone's heads after that. Maybe it was because Australia are, a bit average, but it was still a statement win. And I think that when we saw how much England struggled, and then the red card, and they just did not show up on the day. I would love to see that game replayed out 15-15, whether that had any effect on how they went about the business. If they in their heads they were saying, okay, well, now it's signed, sealed, and delivered. But yeah, I think unless Samoa, really put out all the stuff, missing SUPERBRU is massive. But I see Argentina, pushing through here, because I think they'll be kicking themselves if they're not getting out of this group.
Yeah, and a quick one. Do you guys think the winner of this match is the team going through, or is Japan still going to have a say at the end of the day?
You can't rule them off here. I think if it's not a convincing win for Argentina, you start doubting then that Argentina and Japan's
it's going to be.
I mean, they held the English for what, 60 minutes, until it was a bit of a fallout when Joe Marler started exposing new rules in the rugby book and United. I reckon Rusty's a little bit bummed that Joe Marler's found out that rule before he did. I reckon he was holding it back till the final. There was a move planned out. Jesse Currie it over.
Yeah.
I think Japan is still in it, definitely.
Well, we mentioned 4 teams. Ruudz, Chile. We had Chile to beat England, didn't we? What's going on? Let's move on to England versus Chile on the England side. Are we still reckon Chile have a chance, or are England rebuilding their reputation? Yeah, we're going to have to call that biggest upset in World Cup history off the table now.
Chris, I would love to see some sort of upset like that. I just think it's exciting, as we've mentioned before, just for Chile being at the Rugby World Cup. Each and every player, I know there hasn't been a lot of emphasis from the media perhaps on the smaller nations, but when they do get the opportunity to be in the limelight, you can see what it means to them, their families, etc. So I think taking away from the game for Chile, I think just being part of the experience. I know England is a much more average side than we've experienced before in World Cups, but it should obviously be a clear win for England, and that puts them in a good place to obviously end first. But for Chile, just being part of the World Cup, who knows when they would be able to qualify again. So this is some sort of once in a lifetime, yeah?
Yeah, it was an amazing fairy tale story how they got there, hey, in the qualifications.
I think it was that last game against USA in the 80th
Correct.
minute, and there was a scrum, there was drama, there was everything. So
yeah, it was,
what a story.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's kind of, you think USA will be a power, so maybe they still will be running into their World Cup, but does feel a bit weird that it's Chile over. This could be USA in this group, but this could have been one hell of, well, kind of the older USAs of the teams of old. This could have been one hell of a pool of death with the current state of these teams. I don't know. Do you have comments on the team that's been picked, Ruudz, before we move on to Wes? And they've obviously made changes. Farrell's back from his ban. I quite like Arundel, Marcus Smith all starting. That's more firepower out there. Do you have comments like that, or do you think this is just this is the time to ring the changes, get these guys a go? Do you have any comments on the team?
I think it's always probably been, in my opinion, an opportunity for the coach now to get Owen Farrell back into the team. This is not a game where England have to be too concerned, but I think they want to, with all due respect to Chile, go through their functions as a team and set themselves up to also try and be a little bit more attacking. I know when we get to, should they qualify first or second and go through to the knockouts, it's not all about tries. But I think for them, the ability to practice that and get that right would be important, because they also need to have that in their arsenal. But for England, I wouldn't say an easy day at the office, but definitely the guys coming in, if you look at the Farrells and Marcus Smith, maybe Marcus Smith perhaps a third choice fly off at the moment based on Ford's performance. But they wouldn't be the starting guys come knockout time. So it's difficult to judge. I think just for England, confidence in more attacking play would be important for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they just need to get the job done and in the way they expect. So, what are your thoughts here? What are we thinking? Farrell has a good game. Has he played his way back into the starting 15? What does that mean for George, or is he getting himself sent off in the first 25? We'll put some money on it.
Yeah, no, I definitely think Farrell's just coming back in just to get some rugby under his belt and back into the system. I mean, I personally like the look of the New England side without him. Like, I think just from a culture and an energy and an outlook perspective, they seem to be a different side. They seem to be more positive. It was just, it wasn't the England of old. It wasn't anything great, but I do think it was better than what we were seeing with Farrell. Now, I can't pin all of it on him. I think that's unfair to him. But it'll be interesting to see just the culture, the spirit, the energy around the team against Chile, and especially if things, maybe are a bit tighter than they're expecting. But I was liking what Rudy was saying there about, they will be looking to try and hone their attack, because they've looked non-threatening with ball in hand, right? I mean, again, George's forwards, drop goals and it kind of opening up against Japan towards the end. At no point do you go, oh, that's a scary back line, or, they electric there, they can pull something out and they can score from anywhere. Like you look at Ireland, I mean, goodness, both wingers and Bandiaki in the form of his life, like, it's a threatening backline. With the England backline, you feel like just have a solid defense and they'll make a mistake eventually. So I think they will be looking to try and pull out some dagger moves, some real sort of knife to the throat kind of stuff and execute well. Now the Chileans will have other thoughts, obviously, and they've done excellently to rain on other teams' parades, to show up and play with such spirit. What I've enjoyed about them as well, for the most part, is they've just got on with the game. Uruguay last night, I did feel like there was a lot of hands up in the air and to the referees and officials and other players, and it was just getting a bit much, which we not expect from certain sides, but maybe is more understandable. But I've just liked the Chileans' attitude of we're just here to play rugby and we're going to try to play good rugby. So
yeah, no, I agree. And Scotty, any one thing you want to add to that game, that pool, before we move on?
I think it's lucky for England to have had the Chile game, seeing as it's probably the easiest in their group, at the same time that when Owen Farrell comes back. Because had this been the Argentina game in the third game, and George Ford still started as hot as he did, and then they brought him in, it would have been a completely different discussion, right? It would have been Farrell replacing Ford as opposed to Farrell given a chance now that he's back. Whether that's still the thinking, we won't be sure until probably Japan, whoever gets picked for that, because I mean that's not a walkover by any means. I mean, sorry, not Japan. Who would their last game be? Versus
Who, Chile?
Is this? Oh no, this won't be their last. No, versus
England. Samoa. Yeah.
So I mean, who they pick for that, and then the subsequent quarter, I think will obviously give us a better idea of whatever that pick is. But I agree. I mean, I think they've still got a lot to prove offensively. There seems to be a bit of an energy, which is what we didn't see in all the warm-up games, which I imagine is what you're referring to, Wes, and there seems to be some sort of spark. They're fighting for something which you still want to see out of an England side as much as you want them to lose, from a South African bias. So yeah, I mean, if we continue to see that, I think it'll be a good game. But yeah, we'll never not support a Chilean team.
Of course. Yeah, well, I backtracked, even though there's no justice in the fact that the top four sides on the wrong side of the same side of the draw. It's kind of made every pool a bit more interesting, like this pool and the George, Australia and Wales pool, right? It's making it interesting. It's making it competitive. Yeah, we're going to lose teams we don't want to the quarterfinals, but every quarterfinal is going to be competitive. Well, even if it's Australia, England, or whatever they're going to be, they're all going to be cracking quarterfinals in their own rights. So it kind of made it interesting, even though you would have pretty liked to have seen those top four duel it out quarterfinal. But whether they played in the quarterfinal or the final or the semi, you still have to beat them, right? So I've turned my opinion on this draw, but I wouldn't want to see it again.
I don't think Scotland are holding the same opinion.
Yeah, I've got some Scottish connections, and they wanted to be so excited about this team, and they should be, and they should have. But then obviously look at that draw, and it's like, it's really going to be really tough. Before we get to the better segment, we'll just quickly touch on the Georgia-Portugal game, guys. Georgia 14-point favorites there. Is that right? I mean, for me, Georgia haven't been too impressive. Do you just think that Portugal got a great performance against Wales, or do you just think the Georgians are going to be too physical for Portugal in the end? You guys have any comments on that game?
Yeah, I mean, for mine, very quickly, I just think the Georgians will be physical, and they've got more experience than the Portuguese side. The Portuguese coming back since 2007. So, I think you've got to go with Georgia as the favourites. But, we saw some innovation from the Portuguese with that lovely tryout from the line-out. So, maybe they'll be looking to unleash their own 7-1 surprise, if we can call it that, or whatever they might unveil at the game.
Yeah, the Ruudz or Doss, do you see a potential upset here? Obviously, Portugal winning would be an upset, but do you see that happening?
History, as it would have it, Georgia have had the upper hand over Portugal in their Rugby Europe Championship Tier 2 tournament. I think Georgia, just with their World Cup experience as well, will come out on top. But then again, Portugal also showed that spirit that we talk about from the underdogs against the Welsh. And I mean, Wales only pulled away there by 20 points, if I'm not mistaken. Something we wouldn't have expected. But just for the sake of Georgia and Portugal, yeah, I think it's not a comfortable Georgia win. It's going to be one of those games that people must tune into, because it's the lesser opponents, I guess, Tier 2 versus Tier 2. And the more support we get, the better. Obviously, me saying that, I'll be doing the watch-along on Saturday, so do tune in to that game, everybody. But yeah, Portugal, they'll be excited. I think they've only been at the World Cup once in 2007. So maybe that experience in World Cup tournaments for Georgia will count in their favour.
Yeah. Scott, anything to add before we move on?
I've actually just gone and had a look at the poll on the Forever Rugby group, and it's a split 4-4. But with that said, Steve's voted on both sides. I don't know if that means it's a draw or what it is. So I think maybe it's a bit of recency bias, because we saw the impressive display from Portugal against Wales. Like, no one really expected Wales to get shaken by that. And yeah, you saw, I guess, a bit of the innovation with the line-up move that eventually saw Portugal score. So, I mean, I voted Portugal. I'd love for them to win. It's one of those teams you actually don't really want either of them to lose, right? They both of them very likable, play with passion. You want these types of teams to lay foundations that build rugby in those countries, which then eventually they can become the likes of a Japan, where they are, have the capacity to be the tier 1 nation. So, I mean, I've gone with Portugal. I think it's going to be a great game, and I think I've enjoyed the tier 2 nation games more than a lot of the tier 1 nation games this World Cup. I think it's been incredibly competitive, and seeing the way, and maybe it's also just the way the pools have been split, but it's given them the platform, and it looks like every single one of them are taking it. Maybe a little bit less, but I mean, you got to feel for them with the
And on that, actually, there's in the comment again, PVN saying there was talk about smaller teams coming strong into the World Cup. I do not see that. I'm from Namibia, actually appointed one of the Namibian front row players at my company. He works full time and weekend. And then he goes on to say, not enough money in tier 2 nations and not enough grassroots. So yeah, I mean, these teams, face massive challenges, and that's, I think, why everyone is like shocked or so stoked for Fiji. So traditionally a tier 2 or on the cusp of nation, and with how much resources they have and how much time to play rugby, it's phenomenal what they've been able to do. And I think there does need to be better effort by World Rugby. I don't quite know how you do it, but to get these emerging nation sides, is we on one of my streams, we didn't like the term tier 1 and tier 2, so we called them emerging nations. Bit of woke nonsense there, but so these sides that are up and coming, and how do you support them? And then PVN says there's just not enough money, and then grassroots, you can't, even if you chuck all the money, where does that money go? And so I think they definitely, I would disagree with PVN. They're saying he doesn't see the teams coming in strong. I think they have been. I think the sides we classify as tier 2 emerging nations, they've given good teams a run. As we said, Portugal against Wales. Fiji upsetting Australia. Like I think there's good moments. Obviously, not every side. Romania's had an unlucky time. And it's just also your pool, right? And Romania, Ireland, and South Africa, and then Namibia, New Zealand, and France. That's tough stuff.
Yeah.
To add on to that, way, sorry, I think something I saw recently, which at least I found, step in the right direction from World Rugby, is that in fact the champions of the World Cup don't receive any more money than any other team. So there's a pot that's actually split entirely amongst all the teams, and they all receive an equal share of that, regardless of how far they go in the tournament. So that is great. Obviously, it's not enough, But I thought that was a really nice approach taken by World Rugby to at least do that. But the issue isn't the prize at the end of the 4 years; it's the 4 years in between, right? And bridging that gap. And I mean, I don't think South Africa, to be fair, is doing enough to bring up any of the other African rugby teams. How many more times can you use like an SAA team to go and play Namibia, on an international break, or Kenya, even varsity teams? Obviously, I think a lot of these Namibian players have played in South African Varsity Cup and have gone through those systems. But yeah, I mean, it's tough, and you never want to have 80-0 games, and to see less of those is only going to benefit rugby and how we watch it. So hopefully, at least the split pool is a step in the right direction.
But this does lead. I think this could be a whole other segment on its own around how World Rugby is handling these guys, these nations, right? Because we see this. We always say we enjoy it when we see them at the World Cup and we see them having a go. Yeah, they do end up one-sided, but they will keep saying, well, how can we compete if we don't play at this level often enough? And obviously, it looks like are we heading to a world season, global rugby world season? And then how do you, when it comes to international windows, where are you going to fit? There's the money issue, obviously, because obviously a tier 1 test, a full house tier 1 test brings home the bacon, right? So how they going to fit it in? But I really hope they can find a way. I've always thought of a relegation promotion type of situation within the rankings. So like a team that has worked its way up into the top 10 does get the right to earn 3 or 4 tests. Maybe I don't know if it's in a league system. I don't know, just hypothetically. But I would. I think it would only do World Rugby a much better service if these guys had the opportunity to play against the bigger teams, right? It's natural. We've seen it with the Jaguars. They went to the final Super Rugby. Argentina were beaten New Zealand and the Boks in Argentina. Fiji did pretty well. Are improving. Now look at Fiji, right? When you guys play rugby, you played 4th team practice and you went to 2nd team practice. You upped your game, right? So I think that's how it works. And I'm going to go into the betting segment before we do the last couple of games, and we'll talk about some of the potential talking points of the week. So I'll bring up the betting slide. Whoops. There she is. So we've lost Ruudz. I hope he comes back. Wait for him to come back.
Quite time to leave yet.
Yeah. So we had another winner last week. We had Japan plus 22.5 versus England, won by 22. So that half a point brings that bet home if you understand the handicap betting system. So we were given basically 23 points. So that extra points wins you the bet. So that's another winner. Only had the one bet. Moves us into the 20 units profit, which is lovely. Cruising around there, 54% return on investment. Like we said, we'll take that any day of the week, even when it's at 40 or 30, we're smiling. So the 2 bets I've got lined up for this weekend. I mentioned it earlier. I like Ireland. I think unless Rassie and Jacques have a plan up their sleeve that they're going to blitz Ireland in the first half, which could happen, but I don't see that. I just don't see Ireland not coming out strong to hold that blitz anyway initially. So I'm going to take the punt. I'm going to take Ireland 1.5 points at halftime. That's again the cap. So even if the book's up by 1 point, this bet will come home. So yeah, I'm going to back that. It's going to be a tight first half. It could easily be a draw. It could be like 9 or 12 or type of scoreline at halftime. And yeah, I'm going for Samoa. I think that's too high. I think Samoa ought to play for big can hold the RGs. I think RGs maybe win, but win between 1 and 10. I don't think they separate themselves. I think Samoa, if they can keep their discipline going, we'll keep Arge close. But definitely expect an Arge fight back for sure. I see a completely different Argentina team, so it'll be interesting to see how Samoa handle that. But they got the cavalry to do Samoa. It's just like it says, it's the cohesion. You could see that first half. They look like a team on their first practice run. So like looking for the runner, throwing it anyway if they're not there. So, but yeah, those are the two bets. So if you're following, good luck, guys. Yeah, hopefully we roll on again and keep our profitable weeks going. So yeah, good luck with that. And we'll now move on to the final games. Quickly do previews of the final games of the week for the weekend. We've done Ireland on Saturday. We move on to Sunday. We can quickly touch on Scotland, Tonga before we go to Wales, Australia. Scotland, Tonga, guys. Do you see any surprises there? Obviously, Scotland should be the favourites there. Tonga were a little bit disappointed against Ireland, weren't they? I expected more, but it is Ireland. If you're not a good team, you're going to get squeezed out of that game pretty quick, pretty fast, right? Do you think Scotland, like Wales, are another team that love to go a bit down for the minnow games? And if you notice, like some teams just drop their standard with the minnows. Others, like South African Ireland, will put minnows away quite comfortably. So, do you see a surprise here, or as you like Scotland go on? Scotty, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be incredibly dynamic game, right? Tonga, Scotland, both we're going to love throwing the ball around. Tonga's going to be physical. I mean, they both actually have pretty physical teams. You even saw how Scotland were able to hold up against the Springboks for the whole first half. 6-3 at halftime. They were clapping us in scrum. So I think it's going to be a great contest. I do see Scotland running out. Everyone's kind of. It seems when you get that bye week, you lose. Everyone kind of forgets about you for a second, but they still want to be in this World Cup as much as any other team, and feel like they're going to have a point to prove. And they know that the only way that they get out of this group is that they get bonus points, especially in the games against Tonga. So it's going to be flat foot down, and I'm really excited. I think Finn Russell is also going to enjoy not having Peter Steff running at him.
Yeah. I see the comments. I just think Scotland here, Wes, just got an all-round team that will. We got Wes there. Welcome back, son. I think Scotland just going to have the goods, right? Probably, you think of Tonga, you think of physicality, but I still think Scotland are just the structured, bit more quality will come to the top, right, Wes?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think they will be looking to turn up and put in a big performance. I think Tonga, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but was the last weekend their first run out in this World Cup? So they'll, also that first game and everything gets a bit nervous and whatnot. So they'll be looking to tidy things up a bit. But I do think the Scotland coming into the World Cup, that we've seen over the last couple of games should put away the Tonga side. But that should is a big word.
Yeah, Ruudz, when you went away, we just quickly did the betting segment, so you didn't miss too much except for a couple of winners there if you want to join on the bet and train there. But Ruudz, Scotland, Tonga, how do you see that going? We all say we're predicting this is a must win for Scots. They should get through, or do they get sucked into a dogfight with Tonga, even though Tonga weren't as what we thought they would possibly be against Ireland, right?
Yeah, I think for the most part, Tonga were a little bit disappointing against Ireland. But then again, we come back to the amount of games these guys have played in comparison to the Ireland and Scotland. I think for the sake of continuity, Scotland just have that cohesion in their team that will overcome Tonga. So Tonga will be relying on some sort of upset so they can latch on to the past of Rugby World Cup upsets. But I'm not sure if they have that cohesion. I didn't see much of that against Ireland to threaten Scotland. For Scotland, it's a non-negotiable after they were mauled against the Springboks. And I think overcoming this Tonga game might give Scotland then the confidence for the Ireland game, because this group is by no means settled. In my opinion, South Africa will beat Ireland on Saturday and we'll end up first. But that second spot is still available. So for Scotland, they shouldn't be entertaining Tonga for too long. Again, I think they'll close the game off come the 60th minute onwards, because Tonga sort of come out the blocks. The fans are behind them. We all are behind the underdogs. But Scotland are the fifth best team, as we know, for a reason, and they just have the opportunity now to lay a marker for that game against Ireland and say, look, this will be an arm wrestle. We want that second spot.
Yeah, and on these specific island teams, a few months back or a few weeks ago before the tournament, Steve and I were discussing the hopes of potentially Fiji. And I made the point, well, I mean, yeah, we'd love to see them make a run, but I always said they're a 50, 60-minute team and the wheels fall off and they get loose and they're full of tackles. But it's Fiji that aren't. Fiji are putting together close to the 70-minute performances. I still worry that Tonga and Samoa go missing for 20, 30 minutes at least in a game. These guys often do that. They just battle to keep their discipline for some reason. Their minds go off somewhere else, into the mountains or something, and they go off track, and then they pull themselves back together and they score a beat. But that's my point is that's the weak. I still see Tonga a weakness for Tonga, probably what will hold Samoa ultimately going forward as well. Let's move on to the final game of the weekend, Biggie, Wales versus Australia. So yeah, very interesting roads to this game for both teams, right? So what we're saying, if Wales beat Fiji and Fiji beat Australia, Wales are beating Australia. Is that right, Scotty? Or what's going on here? Is Stevie joining old Eddie for some croissants next week, and they're going to try it over there over a few cheesy croissants?
I mean, I'm sure Stevie would love that. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, I mean, people speaking South Africa, Ireland game of the weekend. I think this is the game of the weekend. When there's consequences involved, you raise the game by that next level, right? These two essentially are fighting for a qualification spot. It's a knockout game for them, and expecting that they're going to win the rest of the games, which is also not guaranteed but expected. This is their toughest challenge. I think Australia will win. I think they will bounce back. I think Eddie, short-term fixer, knows how to come up with the game plan. I think Wales got away with it against Fiji. I think Fiji slipped up a little bit. I think Fiji should have beaten both teams. They managed to get it over the line. Thank goodness, as someone who wants Fiji to succeed more than Wales or Australia. But I still think Australia are the next best nation, and I think they'll get through. And I think 7-10 actually, unless Dan Biggar has an absolute day, which he's highly capable of. But yeah, no, I'm putting my faith in Australia.
Very interesting. Yeah, I've also got some opinions. I might leave it today because I'm very curious to see what Wes thinks about this game. What's going on here, Wes? Talk to us.
Yeah, no, I'm against Scotty over there. I think Wales will take this one. Yeah, I just think again they've not been in fantastic form, but they've been in better consistent form than Australia. Oz just have struggled to find any sort of rhythm, any sort of consistency. I mean, the number of captains they've had, I think, Drew Mitchell very eloquently was telling us how many captains and whatnot that they've had over the last couple of games. On that quickly, I feel like, fair enough. I understand why he has to apologize. Kids will look up to him and this, that, the next, but you can see it's coming from a place of passion where he genuinely cares about the sport, his nation, and their success. But yeah, I think, selections, not selecting Michael Hooper, not selecting Quade Cooper, this might be where the chickens come home to roost, and I do think Wales are going to take it. I think they were lucky to come away with a win against Fiji, and they weren't solid against Portugal. However, in the start against Fiji, when they took Fiji, to task, they looked good. It looked like a good Welsh side, and if they can get that good Welsh side on the field, and therefore 70 odd minutes, 80 minutes, I think Australia is going to have a tough day. But I see getting disagreed with in the chat. Oaks are saying that they think Oz by 8 or so, which is fantastic. It's why we're here, and we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, Ruudz. I mean, what do you think? At this moment, I can't make a case for any of them. Are you on the 25-all draw with me, or are you picking a winner?
Just to add on to Wes there, I think Wales were excellent, especially player number 24. He had a whistle in his hand. He was excellent. He played a wonderful game, wonderful feet, wonderful hands. But coming back to Australia, I think Eddie Jones is under a lot of pressure, and it's obviously evident in the press conferences. He's quite abrasive, in my opinion. But I think for the most part, there's also a conversation I was listening to that Quade Cooper has 55 missed calls on his phone. He's not prepared to answer Eddie Jones at this point.
Fair enough.
And why would you? Because, I mean, he wasn't even considered as a backup player. So Eddie Jones is adamant. And then, like Wes was saying, the chickens coming home to roost, if you could call it that. One of their players, their young players, Max Jorgensen, I think, came up with a broken leg. So he's out of the World Cup completely. So there's those sort of compounding decisions that now come back to bite you, I guess. But for Eddie Jones, I think being or having the experience that he's had, obviously getting a silver medal in 2003, and then obviously with the Box as a technical analyst in 2007, he does have World Cup experience, so we can't throw that away. It's a must win for Australia, where obviously for Wales, they know it's a must win. But I just think the edge is on Australia in terms of where they at or where they should be. And I know it's a bit premature, but Eddie Jones as the coach is almost like the Jose Mourinho of rugby, you know. So maybe I am expecting a little bit more than most, but I think Australia will pull this one through. And I heard Scalzi saying 7, maybe swinging either way, but I'm going to give Australia the win and give them still the opportunity to keep that group alive, much like the other groups as well. So quite an interesting weekend of rugby. The deciding weekends, I guess, for teams to divert in different directions.
Yeah, I'm kind of half joking about the draw, but I agree that Australia are the better, for me, on paper are the better side. And if they come bring it, even if Wales do, they should be edging this Welsh team by about 5 points. However, it's clear, or it seems that this Eddie Jones, or they've kind of blown up the flag for this World Cup, right? If talking about he's clearly seemingly made that decision with his selections. And if you see in the press conference, he made a point. This young Australia side, like he's trying to make a point. I brought youngsters to kind of give him to experience. Totally undermining the Wallabies, basically, and the World Cup, let's face it. So if you're a player and your coach, as Eddie Jones, is ranting and raving and acting like a madman and basically saying, well, we're not winning this World Cup, you drop 2-3%, you lose to Fiji. So my worry is, if these guys don't think they're winning this, aren't yet to win the World Cup, Wales can take them. So, like, it's going to be very interesting, but it'll be very Australia-like. Very Australia-like to come out and win by 10, you know? And off we go. We all wrote off England, and Ruudz, I get you now. We all wrote off England. No one's saying that they're on the right track, but they've just beaten RG and Japan by 20-odd points. I mean, that's nothing to snigger off. Wales try to go win by 10. Are we saying that they're making a run, you know? Yeah, Ruudz, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think just the last point to touch on for Australia, who do they have to rely on to bring the team together? So we talk in South Africa of the Sia Colisis, in New Zealand, maybe the Brody Retallicks coming back from injury. For Australia, like you mentioned, such a young side, if they are up against the pump at whatever stage in the game, who do they have to bring them together? So I think they've got to overcome that sort of hurdle, yeah?
It is very odd, the team he selected. He could have brought some guys, you know. So I heard the comment about Sonny Ball Williams saying if Carter Gordon just had a Quade Cooper in the change room after something like that, because he's put all his bets on this Carter Gordon. He hasn't proven himself, right? I mean, what these guys must be feeling like. And I don't know if you guys have Skelton's back, but I mean, Tupou, you just have to watch him even for the Reds. I mean, that guy is so pivotal. He's basically their scrum. He's he's our marks, Malcolm Marks in the loose, possibly better ball skills. these teams look different without the guy. So yeah, I don't know if even he's back. I honestly, I was trying to find Australia team news before we arrived. I don't know if anyone, Scott, you want to say something? Do you have any?
I think it's still out. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna add. Like, I think you can understand him leaving out Hooper Quaid if this is an Australia team filled with experience and he doesn't need their expertise. But there's still something to be said, as you said. Like, who can Carter Gordon go to and have a one-on-one conversation with, just to be like, this has happened to me. If anyone in a career has gone through ups and downs, it's Quade Cooper. He's seen the highest of highs and the lowest of lows type of guy, and seems to be pretty kind of level-headed at this point. So I think it's with this Eddie team, I completely agree. He's undermined them. I think he relies on, much like he did with England, getting big early results. He needed a statement win versus the All Blacks, because then the kids believe in themselves, right? But they haven't had a statement win yet, so they're looking around for someone to believe in. They don't know who to. They don't have the senior player. They don't have Hooper Quaid, and they don't have themselves to believe in, because they haven't proved that to themselves yet. So he's kind of been waiting for the impact to come, and now he's taken a big loss, which is now just doubled down in an inexperienced side. I mean, it doesn't sound like I'm someone who's fucking the Australians. But that's the thing with England. You remember he came in hot, Came in very hot. England went on that very good run. I think they won like 10 in a row, won the 50. They won the Six Nations, which probably possibly bought him a whole lot of time, because obviously taking New Zealand out in the semi bought him another 3 years. But this has been very underwhelming. And basically, I mean, it's basically a completely different team to the one that he picked for Loftus in the first game of the Tri Nations, right? So he obviously does. What's very fascinating is that he sits there like he's going to be there at the next World Cup. He could have been booted already, like the way he's going on. I mean, how sure is he that he's even going to be at the next Rugby Championship? That's what fascinates me. I mean, I hope his plan comes together for Australia's sake, because Australian rugby, let's all face it, guys. I mean, like those guys, that podcast, Drew Mitchell, those old characters of Gitto, and those are Australian players. We did appreciate and respect, right? They had that grunt, they had that street mongrel. They were very good. I mean, how do you see Australia coming back to that level? I don't know. I don't know if Eddie Jones is the right person to start that, kind of like what Rusty's done through the provincial teams. He talks to the provincial teams, he talks to the sevens, everyone's on board, Anyway, guys, that's a wrap. We can do some quick fire predictions, or maybe actually let's go back to the 7-1. Anyways, let's go back. Let's talk about the 7-1, because it is controversial. I'm not as opinionated about it as my high head contacts and red cards and refs. I'm gonna say we've thrown my name around down the gutter already, so I'm gonna say whatever I feel anyway. But anyway, what do you make of the comments of the moral dilemma? You obviously heard, let's say it's Matt Williams saying it, but I have seen some social media people commenting and kind of agreeing to it, and I think even saw another Irish, was it Keith Wood, who says the rules need to change. Right. Is it a moral issue? Is it morally wrong that we just not bending the rules? We just play by the rules and we select in the 7 reserves we want, and the other team either reacts or doesn't, or makes a plan? And does it actually filter? As you said, I understand it filtering down to the younger age groups. Okay, the scrum engagement has improved a lot, and I think neck injuries across the board have got better. Because he spoke about the neck injuries of players, and I think he still refers to that the bigger Foster guys coming in and neck injuries possibly happen. Do you buy his point that 7-1 is a moral issue and it shouldn't be accepted because he's not an international? I think he was talking down the age group. So do you agree with what you're saying? If you heard his point?
No. No. If you're that worried about the younger age groups, then also you just make that rule not available to the younger age groups, and you look to phase it in up, towards the guys where they become professional athletes and their bodies are conditioned to go for 80 minutes. Like there obviously are substitutions that happen at the 60 or the 50 or whatever, but most of these guys are trained and fit enough, if need be, to play 80 minutes of rugby. So yeah, there's definitely a difference. We know what fresh legs bring onto the field, but I just don't get it. Again, if you're that concerned about the younger age groups, I think it's something that he's potentially thought of in the wave of the backlash that he got for his comments.
Backslap.
He's thought, yeah, exactly. He's kind of thought, oh, how can I justify this? Oh, the kids. What do people care about? They care about the kids. Okay, it's bad for the kids, so therefore it's bad. We shouldn't do it. We just make it not available to the kids. Like there are different rules at different ages. Right?
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. They don't have, if that is an issue, and it can be, right? I don't know about your guys' school systems, because I know in Cape Town we have the English and Afrikaans schools, and there is a little bit of a physical difference level there when you play schoolboy level. And I must admit, if I saw a second pole first team pack coming after 60 minutes, 60 minutes, I would also probably be like, oh my god, this is going to be bad. But I agree. Why it doesn't have to be the same rules, right? And he's saying that, but I don't know if you guys also notice in Scotty, like players aren't, coaches and players, current coaches and players aren't saying that they seen it as an innovation. Like, well, good for you. You know, if you want to do it, you're gonna, because there is still that we keep forgetting. There's still a risk, right? We're going to be playing players. You're going to be playing players not in their specialist international position.
Yeah.
Possibly, and that can go horribly wrong. So maybe people are like, yeah, go for it, guys. But you know, if you mess this up, we'll take this is out. That's better for us to get you. Rather maybe get you because you've slipped that one up. Because if we take you 6-3 bomb squad, that's difficult. So maybe they're actually hoping that it backfires. What do you think, Scotty?
And they're not worried about the South Africans, right? So they're not up in arms that Marco van Staden's now playing hooker because they're worried about him. You know, they're not worried that like we are putting our one backline player is a scrum half and might have to come on, you know, and play out of position. It's as if they're assuming that the other team is confined to fewer players on their bench, and we just have extra capacity for that. There's so much risk involved in doing what we do. So much can easily go wrong. The smallest hamstring tear in minute 2, you know, even, you know, the Grant Williams injury against Argentina earlier on in the year, like these things happen. They're horrible, and South Africa takes on risk to exploit a strength of ours. We've seen us dominate. We haven't seen injuries. It's not like they're high tackles or injuries coming as a result of this. The only time I can think back to is when we blew away Italy at the last World Cup, and that wasn't a 7-1 split. That was probably even a 6-2 split, maybe a 5-1, and that was happening in the first half. That their props were just getting pumped, and then it went to uncontested, right? Yeah. So I just think it's a way of being frustrated that there's a supposed loophole that we found in a way. We just choose to structure our system in the way that suits us, you know.
Or exactly, it could just disrupt all that structure we talk about, right, Ruudz? Like that 10-man rugby, that Pollard type when he's at 10. We've all been banging on that Lebok was the potential weakness or could go wrong or risk, right? Now, what if Lebok goes down or is kicking at 50%, and we got Faf playing at 10 after 45 minutes against France in a we play in the quarterfinal? That's going to be fun, right? So, Ruudz, I know you love your books, but I think you're a fan of the 7-1, right? Do you think the rules? Do you think this needs a rule change, if anything, as well? On Matt Williams' comment, do you think anything needs to change on the back of this silliness from the box?
No. So, with all due respect to that gentleman, I think he should go and study philanthropy or something, because it's way out of his depth now. South Africa, and in terms of professional sport, we're not playing for bread and milk money. We're playing to inspire a nation, and I think we need to play to our strengths. We've gone through the laws of the bench, and the requirements are you need 2 tight forwards in terms of props. A hooker, we've got that. We've covered those bases. So, as Scalzi and Wes mentioned as well, there's risk for us that nobody's taking into consideration. As we mentioned, we are the ones for now that are actually innovating. And I think just touching on what Wes was speaking about earlier and saying if you want to shut it out, then shut it out at school level. But at professional level, it's obviously, like I say, we're inspiring a nation. So at school level as well, if we know we talk about player safety, but I think in terms of contact sport that rugby is, if you don't want the contact, then don't play rugby. So we harnessing South African talent from a young age, perhaps not in that atmosphere of a 6-2 or 7-1 split. Maybe there are some permutations there, but building them up to a national team that inspires a whole nation. So that in itself, he's completely missed the point, and I think it's just a lot of envy in his rhetoric, you know.
Yeah, I just open my prediction. I don't know if I don't even know if we carry on going 7-1, right? And you don't know what these guys are going to do next. But I still don't know if that's going to backfire. Even though it can, I still think it's probably a Lebok, 2 missed kicks and a 3-point loss, or a ref,
Chris,
or bad ref decisions. Because a bad ref decision is coming, and be ready, boys. And I'm not saying just for us. A controversial decision is determined in a big game. It's wherever that happens.
I mean,
just to add to that is, like, I believe, in my opinion, the coaches and management have gone through what they can control. The uncontrollables we can't control.
Correct. Yeah. Very fascinating the journey the Boks have been on here, guys. How we won the last World Cup, what we look like at this World Cup. Very interesting. It makes it really, really interesting. So yeah, guys, we've gone on for quite a while. Lovely. It wasn't I thought was expecting. I thought we had a few short weeks because we didn't do any kind of reviews. So yeah. Is anything else that you guys want to bring to the table? Otherwise, what I'm going to do to end, I'm not going to do a 2-2-2 games. I'm going to ask all 3 of you to give me within a 5 margin victory predictions for the games. But is there anything else you want to discuss before, or should we just go straight in and do the predictions?
Let's go straight to it, and let's go watch Stevie P commentate on the.
Stevie, I think someone stole Sopowanga's tea. I don't know if it was Stevie doing some spying on the Samoan camp. Stevie, please give Sopowanga his tea back. All right, let's go. So Skoltsi, Samoa, Argentina. What's the result? And if you can choose between any 5-point margin, so you can say between 8 and 12, Argentina.
I'm going Argentina 10.
All right, Wes?
Yeah, Argentina by 15.
Oh, so Argentina backlash, yeah? Samoa can't keep the discipline. Ruudz?
No. Samoa by 3.
Ruudz. My heart says that. My heart says I want Samoa to win. But I think Argentina are going to come out. Yeah, you're right. I think it could be. Let's go to our Saturday games. Georgia, Portugal, Scotsy.
Portugal by 5.
Yo.
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to go Georgia by 10.
Yeah. Ruudz.
Georgia, 13 points.
Yeah, fair enough. Good one, Scotsy. Put your neck out there. England, Chile. I think we know what's going to happen. Yeah.
Chile by 25. No.
That'll be something. Scotsy.
Yeah. England 20.
20.
I was going to say England 25.
Respect for the Chileans.
England 47.
Jeepers.
Ruudz, I'm gonna get on Ruud's side, yeah, chaps. We got a bit of a split panel, yeah. I think it's gonna be a pretty comfortable England winner, to be fair. I think it's gonna be too much for Chile. South Africa, Ireland. I think we did touch a bit. Let's just go again, Scotty. Put this rubber stamp. Let's put our signatures onto this one.
It's not what I believe is going to end the World Cup, but I think Ireland by 2.
I'm with you, Scotty. Ireland between 2 and 5. Swez.
I think Box by 5 and 7. I think Ireland are the favourites, but I think Box can do it on the day.
I know what Ruudz is gonna say.
South Africa 26, Ireland 13.
Oh, comprehensive book win. Easy. Roll on and do the same to New Zealand later, hey? And we go to the Scotland Tonga. We go around. I think we probably know we should win that one. What margins, Scott?
Scotland 15.
Yeah, they like to get to a scrappy battle, the Scots, even though they should be winning by 30. Where's
I'm also gonna go Scotland 15. I think that's fair enough.
Ruudz?
Scotland by 26.
Yeah, I think Scotland, but I'm going to say between 20 and 30. Maybe they squeeze out another one, another try. And then another biggie, Australia, Wales. We did go on predictions. Scotty, remind us what you're going in.
I think I said Australia 10, between 8 and 10.
That's right. You said Australia. Yeah, you're with me on Australia. Wales was Wales, right?
Yeah, Wales 10 and 12 by 10 or 12.
Sure. This is a big split. Ruudz?
Exactly what Scalzi and Wes said. I'm going to go between 8 and 12.
2?
Australia.
Okay.
I'm Australia too. So we got 3 Australias, 1 Wales.
Tiny Wallaby, mate.
Raise their Welsh flag. All right, boys. Thanks so much. That was really good show. I really enjoyed it. Always enjoyed chatting rugby with you guys. And obviously we cruising well into the tournament now and some nice games. I don't know how you guys are doing in your prediction games and SUPERBRUs, but I need these 50-50s to go my way this weekend. So yeah, wish us luck. But yeah, thanks so much, guys. And obviously have a great weekend. And everyone on the chat, thank you for joining in. Obviously, if you fancy following some of the tips and the predictions, go into BOYLESPORTS and sign up on the sign-up bonus. You get a nice 1,000 sign-up bonus, and our other partners, BITDEFENDER as well. And obviously catch the guys on the watch-alongs, going beautifully, looking lovely, slick, professional. Join the guys there on the watch-alongs and just support us and hit the like button. And yeah, let's keep going and have a great weekend. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Thank everyone.
Cheers.
Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reese. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER. BITDEFENDER is a global leader in cyber security. BITDEFENDER is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with BITDEFENDER, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on BITDEFENDER, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, BITDEFENDER, for joining the channel. I've been Reese here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much.
On the wall for Australia, Fiji, and Wales to battle it out for those top 2 spots. So maybe less pressure, but playing for the pride of their nation, Georgia and Portugal. Eddie Jones, of course, is under severe pressure from the media, not only back home, but also around the world, really, questioning if this time around it was indeed a correct decision to bring him back into the mix. He's gone with a rather interesting team for that Australia game, so it will be interesting to see in that Group C which top 2 teams make it. In this game, however, Georgia and Portugal have an opportunity to write history on the wall. Portugal, of course, have only featured in one other Rugby World Cup back in 2007. An honourable mention for the fly-off of Portugal is the fact that in 2007, his dad, Miguel Portela, so the fly-off today is Geronimo Portela. His dad represented Portugal back in 2007. So a wonderful, proud moment, not only for the country, but for father and son to represent their country at the biggest pinnacle of world rugby. For Georgia, the fancied favourites against Portugal today, I think for the sake of their progression in the Tier 2 tournament, the Rugby Europe Championship, which plays, I think, simultaneously to the Six Nations, they've been dominating, winning the last 4 consecutive titles. So they've got the edge on Portugal in terms of head-to-heads as well. If we look at the head-to-head between Georgia and Portugal, Georgia have gotten over the line against Portugal on 18 occasions versus Portugal only managing to beat Georgia on 4 occasions. Throw in 1 or 2 draws. That's the results between the two teams. So history is favouring Georgia, but again, as I mentioned, pride is at stake for the Portuguese. It was a wonderful run-in to qualify for this World Cup. And for the most part, a lot of their players are not playing professionally. So just to be part of it, between those 4 lines today, I think will be really special. The head coach of Georgia, Levin Maishashvili, has also, as I spoke about, maybe gotten Georgia to a point of evolution where they're not only relying on the forwards, you know, their good scrum and set piece, but also there's some exciting backs in the mix. Being the fullback who seems to run a lot of the play, David Niniashvili. So he'll be a pivotal part of today's game, being if he can put his team obviously in the right places. So today's referee as well is Paul Williams from New Zealand. So Paul Williams made his debut back in 2017 as an international ref. So the experience is there, even though it's considered minnows that are playing. They've gone with an experienced referee in Paul Williams. The nuances of the refereeing decisions, of course, have come into play in this World Cup. We just hope that nothing tends to spoil this occasion for either team with a red card. We definitely don't want to be seeing that. What I do want to do now is just take you through the build-up package of the Georgia 23 that will be doing battle today. Sit back and relax as we build up to this Pool C clash. 2 o'clock kickoff South African Standard Time. I'll be taking you through the watch-along. Until just now, stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. As we took a look at the Georgia 23, you can see there's some big boys there in the forward pack. But as I mentioned as well, they've got some exciting outside backs. I did make a mention to the fullback, David Niniashvili, but the winger as well on the right-hand wing, Akaki Tabuzadze. A special mention in that Rugby Europe Championship was the clear number one in terms of meters gained. So if they can get the ball into his hands, I'm sure there's some exciting play to be had today. So do join in, guys. Share the link with your friends. Like and subscribe to the channel. This Rugby World Cup is just getting started. So we want to rugby together, don't we? The stadium, of course, is the Stadium de Toulouse in Toulouse, which recently saw the All Blacks up against Namibia. That was 71 points to 3, the final score. So the atmosphere was quite electric. I watched that game, and I think nothing less today from the stadium here. It's interesting. The fans are also supporting the underdogs, but today both teams can be considered, if you would, the underdogs. So I'm sure the support would be universal, which is quite exciting. So don't be dismayed that it's a Georgia-Portugal game. I think nobody would imagine a team like Portugal featuring at a Rugby World Cup. But it's exciting because it means the rugby landscape is expanding worldwide. The gap between the nations is getting smaller in terms of the disparity of access to the best players or best facilities. And I just think it's exciting from the top down. Again, I mentioned one of the contentious issues that's worth discussing. I'd be interested to hear from you guys in the comments. Would be the state of refereeing at this Rugby World Cup. What do you make of it up to this point? Do you think it's a little bit more complicated than it should be? Or do you think they've got it on point? They've got a tough job in managing two very fierce teams on the day with decisions that have to happen in milliseconds. So take all those points into consideration and give me some feedback in the comments what you think. Also, just a special shout out to the official sponsors of Forever Sports, being BITDEFENDER, the global leader in cybersecurity. When you have anything digital, they'll keep you safe from any cyber attacks. Shout out to BITDEFENDER, as well as the official betting partner of Forever Sports. BOYLESPORTS, guys, is the place to be if you think you have some predictions. If you're feeling lucky and you don't just want to put it in your mind, you want to put it on paper, sign up with BOYLESPORTS, open an account. They'll match you up to R1,000 starting bonus. So that's quite exciting. You could be making some money after this weekend. Remember, there are still some games to go as well in this Rugby World Cup, and every single one of them will be live on Forever Sports. So stay tuned for not only live watch-alongs, we've got fan cam reactions, we've got build-up packages, we've got halftime analysis shows, we've got it all rugby on Forever Sports. A special mention as well in terms of the Portuguese. I think there's two players that have been playing well in terms of running meters, and this is in the forwards for Portugal, would be Stevie Sequeira and Nicholas Martins, who've had quite a lot of gain line carries in this Rugby World Cup, according to the stats. So Portugal might mix it up as well with forward play. Remember, every single team that's here is a proud representative of the game of rugby, and they have a special one because perhaps none of these players would be featuring at a Rugby World Cup again. Very, very special moment. I'm going to take us through the build-up package as to what Forever Sports has been up to. Stevie P and the team, they've really knuckled down and given everything to create this content for you guys, to say thank you for tuning in as well. So they're on the ground in France, this Rugby World Cup 2023. Just have a look at it, just to give you an idea of what we're all about. Stay tuned. We'll be back again. Hello and welcome back to Forever Rugby. Yeah, that's the promotional package that Forever Sports has been up to in this Rugby World Cup in France. Planning a long time, and now the plan is rolling out. As I look at some scenes here of the Portuguese side arriving, there's nothing but focus on their eyes. So definitely set for just some good rugby and perhaps a victory for the Portuguese. We're at the Stadium de Toulouse, in Toulouse for this game. The skies are clear, so we're in for some exciting rugby, I think, today. The crowd is packed out, and as I mentioned, universally, I think they'll be supporting the game of rugby today. For Georgia, they don't want to end last in this group, and in fact, should they win this game, would imagine themselves with an opportunity against Fiji to still feature in as far as that second spot. So nothing quite decided. That's what makes week 3 of Rugby World Cup so exciting, is the fact that there's so many permutations to come. Please do get your friends and family to tune in to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for every single game. We will be live. And the exciting part is it's for the fans. So we like your feedback. It gives us a sense of accomplishment in that we're all speaking the same language of rugby. Coach of Georgia, Levan Maishashvili, will be relying heavily on his 9 and 10. There's been a replacement at 10 for Georgia. Luka Matkava is on the bench. He's replaced by Teda Abzandadze today. So a change at fly half. But I think Georgia, for them, definitely take this game as the most realistic opportunity to win. The fans are out in their numbers. It's all colors of Portugal. It's all colors of Georgia. And I think as a whole, rugby is winning today. So what a start to week 3. For this weekend, obviously we saw some earlier results in the week. The French putting away Namibia by 96 points to 0. And obviously in that game, the big news coming out that Antoine Dupont will be undergoing surgery. It's touch and go whether he will actually be able to participate any further. But the French Federation keeping themselves a little bit hush on the possibility of losing 9. Remember, they've lost their 10 as well. So I'm not sure that they would actually, or they'd do anything, I think, to keep him at all costs. But he unfortunately was the recipient of an unfortunate tackle from Namibian play, which left him with a fractured cheekbone. And then obviously we saw Uruguay put up a fight in the first half up against Italy, but in the end, the Italians doing the Italian job and winning that game 38 points to 17. Last night, we obviously saw Argentina up against Samoa. A tight affair, first half, second half. I think the difference for Argentina this time around was Emiliano Boffelli scoring all 19 points and putting Samoa away after a valiant effort, physically and on defense. Argentina running out victorious by 19 points to 10. So exciting rugby still to come as well this afternoon. We've got England up against Chile. Don't forget to tune in with Wes on that watch along, as well as the Springboks, the big one, at 9 o'clock. The build-up will be earlier on. Remember, there is a Forever Sports team that'll be out at the Dross in Kyalami, setting up a fan park, getting the spirit together for that Springbok game. It's high stakes in Group B for the Springboks and for Ireland. A loss for either team will be a lot of pressure come week 4. Stevie P will be doing the live watch-along from France. Just a shout-out to Stevie P and James. You guys are doing awesome. I hope you're safe over there. We love the opportunity to be part of this wonderful journey here at this Rugby World Cup. Stevie P will be building up from 8 o'clock this evening, South African Standard Time. And for now, we take a look at the coin toss. All the intricacies before the game actually begins all play a little part in a little bit of momentum. But I think psychologically, both teams switched on for this one. A shake of hands. And the battle is almost about to begin, folks. So if you do want, there is a break in between before play starts. Go get your refreshments. Tea, coffee, water, beer, brandy, juice, or a glass of milk. And let's enjoy the Portugal-Georgia game together on Forever Rugby. There's a lot of focus in the change rooms. I think it must be a really, really exciting moment, like I mentioned, for Portugal, who've never, ever been, some of these players, or actually none of these players, barring the father-son situation, who were part of that 2007 group. It's been 16 years. So when will Portugal get this opportunity again? The Stade de Toulouse in France. It's match day 20 of Group C. We hope that the referee has an accurate, consistent game for both sides. We want the perceptions, if not all positive, to be positive about the referees. We want the best results for every single team, and may the best team win on the day. Give your score predictions, guys. We're almost at kickoff time. It would be interesting, should I say, to hear what you guys think in terms of the score. Are you giving Georgia the opportunity to win this one? Or do you think it's a battle of Portuguese pride that'll be the edge? The players come walking out onto the field now for this all-important Pool C clash. A special moment for all these players to savor. Remember, friends, family in the stands, watching back home, and just the supporters around the world will be tuned into a game possibly that they wouldn't normally be tuned into, but it's Rugby World Cup, and that's what brings people together from all walks of life. Regarded as two minnow nations, Georgia and Portugal, but at this Rugby World Cup, I think we're all on the same level. We all get to play on the same fields, different stadiums, but feel the same experience and atmosphere as all games are sold out and the crowd get behind their teams for sure. They're lining up for the national anthem now. So kickoff is just about underway. And just putting myself in the shoes of these players, to hear your national anthem is quite a moment to savor as well. Just a conversation regarding the referees, assistant referees, TMOs. You want a situation where the referee also takes charge of the game, and that the assistant referees are in line with the referee's thoughts. Sometimes, perhaps, I guess, one gets the feeling or the feedback that the assistant referees, TMOs, kind of tend to also influence the referee. So where does the ultimate decision lie? Like I said, I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments regarding refereeing. We don't want to criticize. I think it's just a matter of opinion, and your fans' opinion is very much valued. The Georgians definitely psyched up for this national anthem. A lot of emotiveness. So the pump is there for Georgia. Georgia today in the red shorts, the Portuguese in the green and white tops. interesting the conversation about jerseys as well for this Rugby World Cup. A lot of people have been left kind of wondering why the Springboks, for example, would play in the kit they do. I think just in terms of World Rugby accommodating people from all walks of life, being inclusive to everyone, the issue of people who are colorblind is an issue that they raised and came to a decision that we will need to accommodate that. So South Africa, for example, should they play like they did against Scotland, would then play in the alternate kit based on which team at this Rugby World Cup, as I understand, is considered the home or away side. So I think there's equal opportunity there in terms of being home and away. Technically, nobody's at home barring the French, but even they would be regarded as home or away. So the jerseys they play in would have to accommodate that. So in case anybody was wondering, I think that's the simple explanation. I'm sure there's one or two other nuances. But yeah, like for example, I think South Africa will be playing in their third white alternate kit for the Irish game. So just to accommodate people from all walks of life. And that is the mandate from World Rugby. The teams are just about ready now. The Portuguese national anthem is away. It's over, but the game is about to begin. Georgia in red, Portugal in white and green. The referee, the man in the middle, Paul Williams. It's match day 20 or match 20 of week 3. We're just about underway. It's Rugby World Cup 2023 in France. Georgia and Portugal with an opportunity on the cusp of getting a group stage victory at a Rugby World Cup. And I'm sure it means as equally as important to both sides. The countdown has begun. In the stadium, they've got a stadium clock, and the fans, which is quite exciting, actually count the game down when the referee is ready from 10. Just checking the final numbers on the field. The crowd will count us down. Georgia to kick off from left to right in this Pool C clash of Rugby World Cup 2023. There's a slight pause here. But now we are underway. Referee Paul Williams says, let's go. And Georgia, I beg your pardon, kick off from right to left. And it comes down now on this right left-hand touchline, just inside the 15-meter mark. Shape to kick there from the scrum half, Marquez. It's a high ball, it's loose. And away come Georgia now. They spread it wide, it's center field, just over the halfway line. Brought to ground there. Great defense from Portugal, but Georgia recycle quickly now. Straight down the middle. Goes the tight head. And Georgia come down this left-hand touchline. Making some valuable meters, spreading the ball now. Georgia still in possession. Abzandadze. There's space out wide here on the right-hand wing. It's that man, Akaki Tabuzatse. And Georgia were relentless. It was up to 5, 6, 7 phases. The gain line success in the post contact was good. And on the right wing there, the man I mentioned who made the meters in the Rugby Europe Championship, #1 for gain line meters, Akaki Tabuzatse for Georgia. It's an early strike, and Portugal are down 5-0 with the kick to come. They went right. They made gain line success in the Portuguese half. They took it left again, straight down the middle, and then down the right-hand touchline. A wonderful try from Akaki Tabuzadze. What a proud moment. Tedo Abzandadze sailing and over. Georgia lead by 7 points to 0. And who said they can't play exciting rugby? So we've become accustomed to Georgia playing with the forward, scrumming well. But on this occasion, not afraid to spread the ball. And the defense couldn't stop that man, Akaki Tabuzadze. Georgia regained the ball. It's inside the 22 from the kickoff. At the base is Aprezitze. Shaping to kick now, which he does. He's got the safety of the touchline, but the ball doesn't go out. Portugal return with a kick. The chase is not great, a little bit too deep. And Georgia spotting some space at the back there. Just not getting the bounce of the ball towards this right-hand touchline now. Little bit of a kicking battle, but Georgia return the favour. It went into touch. It's a quick throw. A little bit of a mess up there from Portugal. Not enough men back there. And Georgia on the attack. Knocked on there. And the referee will come back for advantage to Georgia. So the ball went into touch there. Portugal went for a quick throw. But the timing was not great. He tried to control it with his feet there, Geronimo Portela. But the defense coming through, the chase was good. And Georgia now forcing the mistake and having the first scrum of this Pool C clash. Be interesting to see what Georgia do at the scrum. Well known previously for having a good set piece at the scrum. Would they be fencing themselves against the Portuguese? Taking a look at the coaches' boxes. Portuguese seem a little bit more relaxed. Patrice Lagisquet of Georgia, of Portugal, I beg your pardon, looking a little bit more serious. Georgia relaxed. Just a reset at the scrum now, but Georgia with the feed inside the 22 of Portugal, just on this 15-meter mark on the right-hand touchline. It's a little bit of space on the blind here, but I'm not sure if Georgia would be fancying that right now. A lot of space on this left-hand side. Aprezitze with the feed for Georgia. Gone down, the referee says play. It's a set move. Coming off the right wing there, Tabuzadze. Channel 1, Aprezitze now. Great speed at the base. Referee just making sure that Portugal are onside. Georgia is cycling quickly now. Abzandadze runs into a brick wall there. But the post-contact success here on the gain line for Georgia, good. Keeping the ball alive. Taking one or two men to bring him down there. Aprezitze again. Been heavily involved in these few minutes. Getting to the base nice and quickly there. It's now the tight forward, Konstantin Mikautadze. Everyone getting involved for Georgia. Going backwards now on this left-hand touchline, just inside Portuguese in the 22, and the referee blows a penalty here. The emotions are running high. There's a slight scuffle. People want to get involved. This is what we want to see. No punches thrown, but a little bit of argy-bargy. Let's get that testosterone out. But Georgia there infringing at that ruck. Portugal managing to hold on and win the penalty. There's a discussion between the assistant referee now and Paul Williams. So the referee just wanting the captains to have a word with their teams, saying it's too early for this, gents, it's too early. So Portugal with the penalty. Merab Sharikadze there running away. He's having to give the message across to his team. Discipline is key. Portugal have an opportunity now via Geronimo Portela to relieve some pressure, and indeed they do, getting the ball up to Georgia's 10-meter line on this left-hand touchline. What is their set piece like at the line out? Will they be put under pressure? It's a loose ball, but Portugal come away with it now via Marquez to Portela. It's in midfield on the center line, playing towards this right-hand touchline. It's kicked away there by Portugal, and Georgia return the favor. A massive hoof, but an unforced error there from Georgia. They're going to come all the way back. The ball has gone dead. So Georgia, after collecting the kick from Portugal, pumped the ball upfield. It was the fullback, David Niniashvili. He sent it right into the goal line area. It went over the dead ball line, and Portugal will have a scrum deep inside Georgian territory, just outside Georgia's 22 on this right-hand touchline. Portugal have the feed. It was difficult to judge from that first scrum exactly who had the ascendancy. It kind of went down. The referee said play, and the ball came out. So it will be interesting at the second scrum to see if Portugal get it in and out. Or do they fight fire with fire? The feed is good from Samuel Marquez. It's at the back. Portela. There's space here for Portugal. Appleton, the captain, leading by example, taking his troops inside the Georgian 22 now. A big hit there from Georgia, and the referee is playing advantage. Wonderful defense from Georgia there. Just when we thought Portugal were getting the ascendancy, a massive hit, which caused the ball to bob out of his hands, and Georgia now playing under advantage just outside the 22. Aprasitse with an up and under. It's a slight knock on there from Portugal. We thought he had the ball collected, but referee Paul Williams adjudged Nuno Soso Guedes to have knocked the ball on. Scrum to Georgia, 15 meters out on this left-hand touchline, on the halfway mark, just about inside Georgian territory. A big hit there on Samuel Marquez, which forced the initial advantage for that knock-on, but Georgia then sent the ball upfield. An up and under which Portugal could not control, and they have the ball back. So those up and unders, those 50-50s can work out. As Georgia feed now via Aprasitse. It's advantage, says Paul Williams. And Georgia show their hand at the scrum, but they spread the ball out. Niniashvili, and again, Tabuzatse. They can't bring him down. He's fed it off. Wonderful by Georgia. They're keeping the ball alive. They're only 8 meters out on this right-hand touchline. It was a knock-on there, picked up by the air. The referee got confirmation, and unfortunately Georgia, in this fine weather, have knocked the ball on. Credit to the defense, scrambling there But that man, Akaki Tabuzatse, is showing exactly why he was number one in terms of running meters. He just seems slippery. But Georgia this time around, knocking the ball on and giving Portugal the opportunity to again relieve the pressure. They've been under pressure. They've been relieving the pressure. They're going to need to turn that pressure into some form of attack at some point. Portugal under the pump, but for now, they have possession inside their 22 on this right-hand touchline, about 15 meters from the touchline. And a penalty now to Portugal. Georgia judged not to have pushed straight there, so scrumming at an angle. But now Portugal have kicked the ball, they have not kicked it into touch. Another unforced error, but Georgia send it back. Portugal breathe a sigh of relief as they try now to find space deep in the Georgian territory. Upfield from Georgia with the kick now. Little bit aimless there as Portugal return the kick. This is a little bit better from the Georgians, finding space deep inside the Portuguese territory now. And a massive territorial gain there. So there was some sense of purpose to that kicking duel. Portugal, I think, on that last kick, not having a good kick chase there. So Georgia, with the vision, putting the ball deep, and now Portugal had to clear. We're on the 22 on this right-hand touchline. Georgia have possession for the line out. The throw-in is good from Mamakashvili. They're going route one. They're mauling. It's gone to ground though. Georgia come now. Keeping it tight. Gigashvili in short. Here's the scrum off. Apresidze. The Georgian players not rolling away there. And the referee playing advantage now. The captain, Sharikadze, a little dink over the top from Georgia, knowing they have a free play. But this time around, it's not worked out. But the referee will come back. Wonderful cover there from the fullback, Nuno Sosa Guedes. But Georgia have a penalty. One of the Portuguese players not rolling away. Fast enough for the referee's liking. Right in front of the referee, which slows the ball down for the attacking team. Penalty to Georgia. And there's an indication the captain has sent the message to Abzandadze, give us 3 points. A sign of respect to the opponents as well in Portugal. Usually you find with the crowd getting behind you, there might be a tendency to go for the corner. But I think in a match like this, as I mentioned, where each team would be desperate for a Rugby World Cup win, to have that in their history locker, every point is vital. And here now, Tedo Abzandadze has the opportunity to put Georgia ahead. Shapes for the kick. Still plenty time on the clock. No problem whatsoever from Abzandadze. And Georgia, in fact, do lead by 10 points to 0. We're just about closing in on this first quarter of this game. And Portugal, up to now, have not had an answer for Georgia's relentless speed at the breakdown, presentation, and then the ability to put the phases together. Do they have a reply in this next 20 minutes of this first half as they kick off? Not gathered there from Georgia. Slight mistake, but no knock-on, says the referee. They do, in fact, get possession scrappily back. The tackler not releasing the player, wanting to play the ball on the ground. Once you've tackled the player, Portugal, you have to release him, and the referee giving Georgia a free play here with a penalty, centre field, inside their own 22, and the opportunity to relieve the pressure to kick for touch. And indeed, he does find touch. So Georgia there from the kickoff, a little bit lucky, I would say, the way it worked out. No full control there from the gather, and Portugal infringing at that ruck. So discipline again will be an interesting factor to take into account. This game is four quarters, 2 halves. So the first 20 minutes has been Georgia as they break away down centre field into the Portuguese territory now. From set phase 1, they've made about 30 meters. Aprasitse now. Up Zandadze with a show and go, brought to ground. Here goes Gigashvili. The enduring tight head prop of Georgia. There's space out here. Here they go. Wonderful breakaway on this right-hand side. And a wonderful try from Georgia. Wonderful support running there. I think it's the scrum half. Aprasitse, the referee, having a conversation. But Georgia again now, after just scoring that penalty, are putting their foot on the accelerator. And in fact, the referee has awarded the try to Jela Aprasitse. Oh, hold on. Drama. There's a TMO check here. I spoke ahead of myself. Paul Williams, in fact, has indicated for the TMO a coming together of the assistant referees and the referee as they take a look at the big screen. What are they looking for? Oh, Georgia pulling away. There seems to be a slight knock-on from the scrum half, who eventually went on to score. Did it come off his forearm? In fact, it did. The referee cancels that try. It will remain 10-0. The Portuguese fans breathing a deep sigh of relief. But a fair, consistent decision there. But a wonderful breakaway on this right-hand blind side from Georgia. It was Jalagonia, actually, the number 6 of Georgia, who made wonderful meters. Just in the process of offloading, the scrum half got the ball onto his forearm. It went forward, and Portugal have a scrum 7 meters from their own try line, right on this right-hand side, 8 meters from the right-hand touchline. Samuel Marquez, desperate to get this ball in and out, I'm sure. Not a position you want to take on and fight fire with fire here. Secure the ball, the 8th man there, Rafael Simoes. Wonderful offload, and Portugal now playing a bit risky here. Georgia coming under a bit of pressure from Georgia inside their own half. They're only 10 meters from their own try line, Portugal, more or less centre field, as Marquez finds his man Portela, who doesn't find touch. Tapusatse, the exciting right winger to David Niniashvili, just couldn't find the offload. In the process of offloading, knocked it forward. The referee's playing advantage to Portugal. The ball is kicked away from Marquez, and Georgia come away with it now and find some ground. So they gain some territory via David Niniashvili, who has a wonderful boot on him. He doesn't only have the fast feet, but it's wonderful to see these players, not a country renowned for rugby players, but it shows you what sort of talent you can get from any country. David Niniashvili there finding some valuable meters. We're on this left-hand touchline with Portugal throwing in on their own 10-meter line. Again, a loose ball in the line out, and Portugal need to fix their line outs and set pieces. Sharikadze, the captain, grubbers it forward. Wonderful follow-up from Georgia. So they're relentless at the moment. They're wearing red because they see red, and Portugal haven't got an answer. Covering at the back there, Nuno Sosa Guedes, but the Georgians coming through thick and fast, forcing the ball out on this right-hand touchline. We're just inside the Portuguese 22, and Mamukashvili will be looking to find his man in this line out. We see the right winger there of Portugal, Storti, Rafael Storti, being shoved into touch by his opposite number, Kaki Tapuzatse. He's saying, I'm not only an attacking player, I'll show you I can defend. And for a lot of these players, I think, from the Georgians to the Portuguese, for Georgia, I think a lot more of their players are playing professionally. But this is an opportunity to be scouted for clubs around the world. Rugby, of course, stretches far and wide. And for these players, it's an opportunity on the international stage to represent themselves, of course, their country, but to showcase their wonderful talent as Portugal have the feed on this right-hand touchline. A free kick, however, to Georgia. So the set pieces of Portugal just not coming together now. It's the tight head of Portugal, Diego Hassa Ferreira there, infringing the referee, giving a free kick, short arm, and Georgia have in fact decided to go for another scrum. So they're backing themselves. They feel they have the ascendancy in those tight 8 there to perhaps force a penalty. There's no space on this right-hand touchline for any blindside move. So if it's not an 8 pickup, they'll be going left from 9, 8, 9, and then onwards. A lot of space here for Georgia. Inside the Portuguese 22, Georgia, there's advantage being played now. It's a free play. Abzandaze to his captain, Sharikadze now. Aprasite, short ball. Not able to find his man there. I think it was Mamukashvili coming in on a good angle, but the referee coming back for advantage to Georgia at the scrum. This will be an interesting decision to see what Georgia do now. Do they put the pressure on? They're inside Portugal's 22 on this right-hand touchline, and in fact, they are going for touch. Yeah, Alan, I hear you, brother. It's a situation where a lot of these guys are amateurs, and perhaps it's the pace is a bit frenetic as well. So for Georgia, maybe a little bit more used to that. As we see the feed now from Georgia, they decide to maul route 1. They've disrupted the maul, Portugal, but there's still the ball at the back for Georgia. Mamukashvili, the hooker. Pick and go, pick and go. Georgia showing their hand up front. They have the firepower. Jalagonia now. Aprasitse fighting with the referee, remonstrating, but the referee has blown a penalty to Portugal. There was a player over the ball there for Portugal. I think it was Hasse Ferreira, the tight head. No, it's the loose head, Francisco Fernandes of Portugal, who managed to win the turnover there. So those are the moments you're looking for. These players might be amateur, but in the heat of the moment, I think they can step up. And for Portugal now, finding some relief between their 22 and their own 10-meter line on this right-hand touch line with the line-out feed. A loose ball again. It's collected there from Portela. Geronimo Portela brought to ground. And Portugal come now. They need to put some phases together. It's all a little bit flat at the moment. Grab it ahead. There is a chase, but David Niniashvili slipping away from 1, 2, 3. He's got space outside now. What a wonderful little kick ball, but straight into touch from Georgia. Showing a little bit of skill there. David Niniashvili offloading the ball in the tackle down this left-hand touchline. So Georgia not afraid to run from deep. This is exciting. What a way to start this weekend of Rugby World Cup 2023. Unfortunately, the kick there, little bit of soccer skills. Just going straight into touch, and Portugal have a line out. It's gone all awry again, but Portugal managed to win the scraps. They don't win a clean ball, but they win it somehow. They're deep inside their own 22 now on this left-hand touch line. About on the 15-meter mark from touch. Samuel Marquez shapes to kick. There's a charge down. Is adjudged to be onside there. The number 5 of Georgia, Konstantin Mikatadze. So Georgia not letting up at all on the pressure side. Portugal have to find an answer at the moment. This first half has been pretty dominant, although the score suggests it's quite closer. Portugal have been playing most of this game inside their own half. So in fact, if they're going to do the kick chase, the chase has got to be a little bit better. If they're going to kick it towards the touchline and find a touch and gain territory, they've got to win the line out. It's been a little bit scrappy for Portugal. And it's not a sense of judgment. I just think they themselves would be expecting a little bit more. They know their opposition well. They've just got to focus on what they do, but be a little bit more efficient. This time around, a clean line-out win for Portugal. Tejeur gets his man. At the base is Marquez, shapes to kick. From inside his 22, he has the safety of the touchline. And this time around, he finds touch. However, he does give possession back to Georgia, and we're still inside Portuguese territory. About 35 meters out on this left-hand touchline. It's a line-out feed to Georgia. Mamukashvili finds his man at the back. And here they go, mauling now. Route 1. Portugal don't have an answer. The ball is moving. It comes out the back. Wonderful running lines here now for Georgia. Portugal slipping one. Finally brought to ground inside the 22 now, and again Portugal managing to win the scraps at the breakdown. Georgia not securing the ball quickly enough. And another opportunity for Portugal to get out of their own 22. And it will be Samuel Marquez to relieve some pressure with a penalty kick for touch. On this right-hand touch line, we're just outside the Portuguese 10-meter line, so they're still inside their own half. But after Georgia made wonderful meters there, just not able to secure the ball, and Portugal breathe, breathe, and breathe. Again, the set piece is an absolute shambles. This time around, the ball not thrown in straight from Mike Tejeur, and Georgia get possession handed back to them on a silver plate. Aprasitse with the ball in hand. The score still 10 points to 0. We're just on the half an hour mark. Georgia running all the play, getting all the territory. Portugal having to defend. Exciting back three of Georgia showing their hand in this game. It's a solid scrum from Georgia. And Aprasitse finds his man Abzandadze. Sharikadze, skip pass right down to the left wing here. Alexandra Tadua. But there was defense in place. Portugal read it well. It was the fly of Geronimo Portela as well as Rafael Storti coming across to stop that move. So after initially getting gain line success there, I think the left winger didn't have much space. The skip pass was a little bit loose, doing the best he can, but it took a couple of men, including Betancourt, to come across the outside centre and force him into touch. Georgia with the feed at the line out, Mamukashvili with the ball at the back. They're mauling now. We're within the 15-meter mark, just outside Portuguese 22 on this left-hand touchline, playing to centre field now. The captain, Sharikadze, taking the ball up hard. There's space out wide on this right wing. Zakaki Tapusatse. And he's brought to ground now, but we're inside the Portuguese 22. And Georgia come again. I must admit the handling has been pretty good for the most part. From the base, getting the ball out quickly. And Georgia play towards centre field now, 8 meters out. It's the big man, Konstantin Mikautadze. It's advantage to Georgia. The referee says there's an infringement. I don't think it's cynical. I think it was obstruction there from the 13, Betancourt of Portugal. And Georgia have an opportunity now on the 5-meter mark. 15, 17 meters in from this left-hand touchline, and an indication there from Tedo Abzandadze. He'll be in fact kicking for goal. So another opportunity here for Georgia to get 3 points and to stretch that lead to 13 points. Not sure I want to be the Portuguese team in the halftime locker room. The coach won't be too happy. There have been moments where they forced turnovers, but I think in terms of how they wanted to play, I think they need to bring the game to Georgia as Abzandadze kicks the 3 points straight between the sticks. The conversion is good. He hasn't missed all night, and Georgia lead by 13 points to 0 in this Pool C clash. Portugal kick off down this left-hand touchline. Well gathered in there from Chachanidze, Vladimir Chachanidze, the lock forward of Georgia. Aprasitse at the base. Shapes to kick and a wonderful chase there from the 11 to Dua. But Portugal do have possession. But once again, inside their own half. As the referee puts his hand out, it's a penalty advantage. The Georgian defense holding strong now. Portugal from side to side with a little chip over the top. They're on halfway. They've regathered the ball. Marquez now. They need to make some play, Portugal. And they come down this right-hand touchline, but play back to centre field. Yeah, they go to the left-hand touchline. So the ball moving now. The right wing is away. Portugal's right winger, Rafael Storti. Outside, inside, outside. A wonderful try for Portugal. There it is. Simply sensational from Rafael Storti. We saw nothing in the move. He created something out of nothing. And Portugal are on the board via their right winger, Rafael Storti. You beauty. For a moment, we thought they were playing from left to right, running diagonally. Even the loose said Francisco Fernandez involved there. The hooker, Mike Teixeira, pushing his man forward, saying, you go, man, you go. This is your moment. This is Portugal's moment. Portugal 5 with an opportunity to convert. It's going to be Samuel Marquez just outside the 22. So about 38, 40 meters out on this left-hand touchline. A very difficult kick, but a wonderful try as Marquez lines it up. It's curling, it's curling. It's just hit the right-hand upright. The disappointment is there, but not for that man, Rafael Storti. Broke one tackle, found space coming inside again, brushed off one, and had the presence of mind to go outside and get over the line. You can see what it means, the lock forward there. Stevie Tekera putting his hands up, saying, wonderful, son, wonderful. Georgia still lead, though, 13 points to 5, but what a nice blow to land just before half-time. Remember, we're only 4 minutes from half-time, and Portugal are away. What a step now. This has given them a sense of purpose. All of a sudden, Georgia have to scrabble, but Niniashvili's away. It's opened up a little bit here in the first half, and on the swing comes the hooker, Mamukashvili. What are you doing there? And Georgia now. Come ahead. Here's a move. It's now the scrum off. Up Prasitse. What a passage of play. However, the referee does stop proceedings. There is a serious injury here. Player safety of utmost importance. It's the hooker, Mamukashvili, Shelva Mamukashvili. He does come back to his feet. But the referee, of course, making sure that the players are okay. Will there be a TMO decision here? All cameras, all eyes on Francisco Fernandez. As we mentioned, the way referee is going, that is going to be something very serious there. No arms from the loose head of Portugal. I'm giving my opinion. I think he's in deep trouble. At least a yellow with a bunker review. But not good news for Portugal, having just scored that try. Francisco Fernandez is going to be in a little bit of trouble. And the referee talking to Thomas Appleton, saying, bring your man here. It's in fact going to be a yellow card for Portugal. It'll be interesting to see in the 8 minutes that they have to review what they in fact come up with in terms of that. Do they upgrade it to a red? The bunker system will leave us in suspense. For Portugal, it will be catastrophic news. It's been tough playing with 15 men. You don't want to play the rest of the second half with just 14 men, and at that, their loose head prop, Francisco Fernandes. So after just having one or two hands in the try, is now infringed and caused Portugal to go back into their own half and face the final onslaught just before half time from Georgia. Mamukashvili now on this left-hand touchline, about 10 meters out from Portugal's try line. They go route one. They know Portugal are without a forward. It's brought to ground here from Portugal. It's all gone a little bit pear-shaped after that try. And Georgia now have a free play here. Little chip over the top. Doesn't work out, but the referee will come back for advantage. Portugal stifling that play a little bit there. Tedo Abzandadze having a conversation with his forwards and his players. Just a lack of communication. Perhaps not the best timing on the ball. But Georgia, remember, it was a free play. They're now 5 meters out on this left-hand touchline. And I'm sure the opportunity is there for another line out. Abzandadze puts it out on this left-hand touchline, 5 meters out. Georgia. Will they have the final say before half-time? A spectacular try from Portugal. It will all but be nullified if Georgia get over here. Mamukashvili finds his man. It is route one again. It's powerhouse stuff from Georgia. Portugal swimming around the side here. What does the referee say? They're only 2 meters out now. Aprasitse. The referee says it's held up. And Portugal survive another moment on their own try line. It's the tight head there, Gigashvili, saying to the referee, I had it. But the ball held up there, and Portugal with the goal line dropout. Marquez, who seems to have taken over the kicking duties. Or at least he seems to be the main goal kicker, albeit he's a scrum off. Same what we've seen with Faf de Klerk, who's been running at fly off. But Georgia are away now. It's down this left-hand touchline. The ball is thrown in field. The ball has gone into touch. On the last play there, Georgia not able to finish. We still remain at 13 points to 5, but a wonderful little inside ball. The cover defense came across. There was inches in it there. Just a little step on this left-hand touchline. His foot went into touch. And Portugal now, with the short line out, secure the ball 5 meters from this left-hand touchline. Marquez says we've had enough. That will be half time. Portugal survive. They trail by 5 points to 13. At the start de Toulouse, do join us for the second half. Can Portugal come back, or are Georgia going to be relentless Let's see what the bench does. Stay tuned. We'll be back.
Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reese. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER. BITDEFENDER is a global leader in cyber security. BITDEFENDER is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with BITDEFENDER, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on BITDEFENDER, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, BITDEFENDER, for joining the channel. I've been Reese here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much.
everybody, Stevie P here from Forever Sports, and I'm here to tell you about BOYLESPORTS, the official betting partner of Forever Sports. Across all of our channels, they are one of the leading betting companies in the world and have recently launched in South Africa with an amazing offering. You can get a 1,000 Rand welcome offer. For the rugby, they are giving you 25% payout boost up to 2,000 Rand on the Springboks winning the World Cup, as well as an extra 50 Rand bet when you stake 250 more on rugby during the Rugby World Cup. It is your one-stop betting shop. That is BOYLESPORTS. Come and join us in the community. Check the links in the description to sign up, get yourself an account, and make sure that you are winning big with BOYLESPORTS. Hello and welcome to Fair Rugby on Fair Sport for today's World Rugby Rankings preview. The third round of the Rugby World Cup gets underway tonight, and with it, there are a lot of permutations, lots of things that can happen, lots on the line with regards to how the world rankings are affected, especially because the number one spot is up for grabs. 1 versus 2 in the Springboks versus Ireland this weekend, which will affect the number one spot. Ireland have got an opportunity to put themselves way ahead, whilst the Springboks got an opportunity to try and get themselves back to being, at least from a ranking perspective, the best in the world, as they currently compete to be named the best in the world. And after a 7-1 split announcement yesterday, very interested to see what will happen between South Africa and Ireland. Now, before I look at some of the permutations, and there are quite a few of them, so you're going to have to sort of buckle a little bit and understand exactly what is on offer and at stake this weekend. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, let's go through them, shall we? So World Rugby has published these ranking permutations, so it's a bit of a preview as to what's going to happen over the next few days in terms of the different clashes. Now, if you're new to the ranking system, there's a whole bunch of things that usually come into play. However, at the moment, there is no home or away advantage, which usually does come into play. But because these are all neutral grounds, for example, even France, it's a neutral game because it is a tournament. They will not receive any different ranking points due to them having the home ground advantage, which means the only thing that are currently affecting the rankings are a win, loss, or draw, and then a win or loss by 15 or more points. So those are the only factors that are affecting the rankings, not home and away as well, which usually come into it. Obviously, what does affect the amount of points you can get for those sort of different factors will still depend on sort of the ranking of the team you're playing against. So, for example, there are more ranking points on offer when you play against a higher team than when you play a low-ranked team. So, let's have a look at it, shall we? Now, the first thing is the number one ranking is on the line in the Pool B encounter between Ireland and South Africa. At St. Denis on Saturday. South Africa could end Ireland's 14-month reign at the top if they are to win. And Andy Farrell's men will actually drop down to third. So Ireland will go down to third but if France are victorious over Namibia. And if you've seen that French side, I think it's a pretty good bet. This is despite the fact that the World Cup hosts cannot improve their rating as a result of the 28.98 rating points between the two sides. However, Ireland will hold on to the number one ranking if they draw with South Africa, even though it won't be a lot of points. So if they draw, they will still hold on to the world ranking, world number one, but they'll be only number one by 0.09 points. A win would see Ireland's cushion over South Africa grow to as much as 6.05 ranking points if the margin of victory is more than 15 points. If beaten, South Africa will also slip below France, a victorious France, into third place. So a win first, a loss third. We won't stay second, as far as I understand, this weekend. Defeat for France, however, would see them drop below New Zealand, who do not play this weekend, into fourth place. However, they can fall no further than fourth. So the top four teams will not change with regards to anybody moving into the top four. That just the positions of them might change as well. Two other teams that are unable to improve their rating points are England and Scotland. Even if they have victories over Chile and Tonga, respectively. England's rating is 22.75 points better than Chile's, while Scotland's is 13.4 points higher than Tonga's. Scotland and England, therefore, will remain 5th and 6th, respectively, with victories. England could move above Scotland if they were to win and Scotland were to lose. If Scotland were to lose, they could be falling as many as 5 places to 10th if they were to lose to Tonga, depending on other margins and results. A defeat could see England drop to a new low of 9th, depending on other results. A draw between Wales and Australia, one of the biggest clashes of the weekend, could actually could see their Pool C rivals Fiji climb 1 place to equal their base position of 7th at the expense of the Welsh, whilst Fiji, who do not play this weekend, could actually jump as high as 5th if England and Scotland both lose and Australia and Wales draw. Australia will fall to a new low of 10th if they lose their Pool C meeting with Wales and Argentina beat Samoa. However, victory for the Wallabies could see them jump as high as 5th in the event that England and Scotland both suffer shock defeat. So England and Scotland lose, Australia win, they can go up to 5th. Defeat for Samoa will see them drop down to 2 places to 13th if Italy and Georgia beat the lower-ranked Uruguay and Portugal, whilst a win for Samoa will see them rise to 9th, climbing above both Argentina and the loser of the Wales-Australia match. Manu Samoa have not been ranked as high as 9th since 2015. Portugal will become the higher ranked of the two nations for the first time if they beat Georgia in Toulouse, whilst they have not beaten their rivals since 2005, but a new high awaits them if they can record their first ever World Cup win. Portugal could climb as high as 13th, depending on the margin of victory and the result of other matches. Georgia, on the other hand, will fall 1 place below Japan if held to a second draw in as many years by Portugal, 2 if Tonga shocks Scotland. They can only improve on their 13th place in victory if Italy fail to beat Uruguay or Samoa are beaten by Argentina. If both of them lose, then Georgia will climb to 11th, the record-equaling position they were in when the tournament kicked off. Uruguay will have to beat Italy by more than 15 points to become the higher ranked of the two nations, a scenario which should see them equal their highest position of 14th. Defeat for Italy would see them fall 2 places, between 2 and 4 places, depending on the margin and results of teams around them. A win for Tonga against Scotland will see them climb above at least Japan, with the Brave Blossoms not playing this weekend. Any further games will depend on the margin of victory and other results. Namibia will return to the top 20 for the first time since 2017 if they can beat France, whilst Chile can enter the top 20 for the first time if they can upset England and record their first ever World Cup victory, and Namibia fail to beat France. Simple. So there's a lot going on, and that's the nice thing about World Cups. There's so many matches, differently ranked teams and stuff like that. So some games have a lot of jeopardy, some of them have no jeopardy. The big thing for me is obviously that first spot, first place is up for grabs. After that, I think the 5th, 6th, 7th is interesting. Wales is going to be interesting. Wales, Australia, they could be falling quite low or rising quite high. So there's a lot to play for this weekend with regards to the rankings, if you count them all, and if you really sort of hide them in high esteem, which a lot of people don't. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Can South Africa beat Ireland? Who will be the number 1 ranked side come Monday? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you soon.
Welcome back to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. It's about to begin the second half of this Pool C clash. For the most part, it seemed to be all Georgia leading this game by 13 points to 5. You could see a little bit of magic when Portugal scored that try. Their confidence lifted, and I think as a team, they got a sense of we can do this. But then, unfortunately, as well, they had to receive that yellow card late in the first half. So down a man, Francisco Fernandez, I beg your pardon, still in the sin bin awaiting the bunker review as we just about to kick off the second half. Yeah, at the start did Toulouse. Portugal from right to left, down the right-hand touchline, and Georgia regather still inside their 22. Mamukashvili takes it short from Aprasidze. He looks for his fly off. Abzandadze, who makes no mistake. Actually, it's David Niniashvili who's kicked well tonight. Over 14 carries, 124 running meters. Wonderful 8 passes. So he's been heavily involved. Georgia are going to depend on him from the back to lead from the front. As Portugal go quick, it's another untidy line-out ball. We almost centre field now, just inside Georgia's territory. But Portugal have possession. A fierce clean out there for Portugal to secure the ball. And they come away with it on the halfway line. So no progress in those 3 phases. And a knock-on from Marquez at the base. And Georgia now have a scrum, centre field on the halfway line. And another opportunity to attack left or right. It was Betancourt taking the ball up there. But just in the presentation, Samuel Marquez knocking the ball on. Georgia with the feed into the scrum. Slowly but surely, that slow poison has crept in for Georgia, and they are able to have gained the ascendancy in the scrum. And due to that yellow card, Portugal will have a man down in the back as they meant to bring on a tight forward to scrum. So it's still a contested scrum, but a Georgia feed on the halfway line, centre field now. Aprasitze. It's picked up from the 8th man there. Kokadze. Sharikadze with the loose ball. It's going down this right-hand touchline on the halfway line. Not finding his man there, the captain. There was pressure on defence from Portugal. Abzandadze to his captain, but the ensuing ball was just a bit loose. Apologising there with the hand up, and Portugal now just inside their own half on this right-hand touchline. Clean ball from the line out. Tajir finds his man, and the ball is spread down this left-hand touchline. Akaki Tapusatse says to his opposite number, "You're going nowhere. I'll give you 1 or 2 meters, but I'll also give you the touchline." And Georgia managed to defend that set play. Some few running meters from Portugal, spreading the ball down this left-hand touchline. But the defense there again, from who's known as the attacking guy, Akaki Tapazatse, was sound, and Georgia have a feed on their own 10-meter line on this left-hand touchline. Mamukashvili with the feed. Keeping it tight now, knowing that Portugal have a man down. Tabazatse going in there, the right winger. He wants to show his skill in every department. But that maul going absolutely nowhere for Georgia. So guys, keep in mind the Don Pablo Stevie P will be on tonight for the Springbok Island game. Let's get everybody tuned in for that one. The Forever Sports team will obviously be live at the Dross Kyalami for a fan park there. So if you're around, pull in as well. Get involved with the fan cam reactions. The team over that side will be taking you through everything rugby as we build up to that big one. This just the taster for what's to come this Saturday. And for the moment, Portugal have the feed inside Georgia's half. Within the 15-meter mark of the left-hand touchline, between Georgia's 10-meter and the halfway line, Portugal feed. Marquez has been busy as well. So the 2 9s of the respective teams very busy this evening, or this afternoon, should I say. Portugal needing to feed off that confidence of that wonderful try towards the end of that first half. They can make a break from nothing. And the ball is picked up at the back there by Simoes. This time it's an 8 pickup, but now Marquez feeds his loose forwards. We're still centre field, approaching Georgia over their 10-meter mark now, inside their territory. Marquez again finds Hasse Ferreira. It's advantage to Portugal now. They're going centre field. Route 1. Marquez with the quick ball. Portela inside the 22 of Georgia now. A lovely little grabber from Georgia's right wing. Rafael Storti, who scored that wonderful try. But this time around, the dead ball line winning. I'm sure the referee will come back for advantage. Indeed he does. Portugal with what you would have called a free play there. But another enterprising bit of play from the right winger. And all indication gives us that the yellow card to Francisco Fernandez will not be upgraded to a red. So he will definitely be coming back right about now for Portugal. So wonderful coming together now. Penalty and a return to a full complement of players. Smile on his face. And Portugal have another opportunity now to attack. In fact, they've indicated that they will go for goal. So Samuel Marquez, who's been kicking well all night, just missed that one off the right-hand post in the first half, failing to convert the try, should I say. But a rather difficult kick that time around. This time around, about 28 meters out, almost straight down the middle. Marquez kicks it. It's over for Portugal. And they trail now only by 5 points. It's 13 points to 8. Georgia still lead. It's within 1 score for Portugal. The dream is still very much alive. As Absandadze says, let's get this game underway again with the restart. Portugal gather. Marquez outside his 22, no safety of the 22 touchline. However, the ball is stopped now. Now they are inside the ruck. From that ensuing carry is back inside the 22 and Marquez shapes to kick. Doesn't find touch right down this right-hand touchline. And Georgia come running back into Portugal's half. We're just about on the halfway line, playing centre field now. Georgia. Quick ball. Fed down to this left-hand touchline. Portugal almost playing the scrum off there. The referee says play on. The ball is shifting now, gaining a few meters. Mikau Tadze, almost up to the 10-meter mark. Wonderful read there from Portugal, but Georgia still managed to regain possession. But going backwards now. It's turned over, says the referee. Play on. And Portugal with a bit of space here. The fullback, Sosa Guedes, to his blind side. Nicolas Martins. They're only 3 meters out now, Portugal. They've turned defense into attack before you can blink an eye. And here comes Stevie Tekera. Marquez calling for the ball. Georgia trying desperately to slow it down. They've taken them back 2 meters. They're about 6 meters out now, playing towards centre field. Marquez calling for his tight forwards. The ball is secure there. Fernandez secures. It spills out. Portugal not holding on to the ball there in contact. Georgia breathed for a moment. But just like that, Portugal were able, from their own half, to attack right down this right-hand touchline, find the space, just about finish, but wonderful cover, scramble defense from Georgia, and a knock-on in the contact there, where Portugal were trying to keep possession and set up the phases now. Portugal with the line out is they are inside the 22. Marquez again. There's a spring in their step now. The Portuguese forwards playing in sync, coming around the corner. Portela, Appleton, the captain, into clean there. Wonderful little offload. João Granate. Everyone getting involved. The tight head, Hassa Ferreira standing short, but it's played to the back line. It's advantage Portugal. The referee says, let go of the ball. The attacking team must play. Here they go, Marquez now. In short to one of his tight forwards. We just about centre field and Portugal. Here they go. It's a loose ball out wide, but they're coming back for the advantage. Trying to manipulate the numbers down this right-hand touchline. But all of a sudden, there's a slight swing in the pendulum of momentum to Portugal. And the referee having a word with the captain of Georgia, Merab Sharikadze, saying this is the danger zone. I'm sure the next one can be yellow. Let's keep the discipline, and Portugal now will take a shot at goal. Get down into the opposition 22, get points, and let's keep repeating that is the message so far. And Samuel Marquez has an opportunity to add another 3 points for Portugal. Marquez gets the kick over. What a wonderful kick there to put Portugal within 2 points. It's 13 points to 11. Georgia a little bit under the pump as they kick off now. Georgia with the throw on the halfway line on this right-hand touchline. Pick and go from Georgia. Nuno Sosa Guedes there getting wrapped up on his own 10-meter line on this left-hand touch line. Portugal with the kick from the base. Samuel Marquez now. But Georgia return it. Might be a little bit too deep from the fullback of Portugal. A little bit of a kicking duel there. And Georgia will come up with that unforced error and gain the advantage. As we see Georgia making their substitutions. Tengizi Zemteredzi on, as well as Norda Chaisvili, hooker, and loose forward respectively. Lock, I should say. Georgia with the feed on the 10-meter mark from where the kick was taken. The end of the night for the loose head, Francisco Fernandes had a part in that wonderful try of Portugal, but then of course also copped the yellow card. So a little bit indifferent, but nonetheless a proud moment for him as he's replaced. And Portugal bring on a tight forward. Scrum feed to Georgia inside the Portuguese territory. Playing centre field, just over Portugal's 10-meter line now. They find space. But the ball is kept alive. Jalagonia goes in. Becca Saganidze goes into clean. But Portugal again disrupt play and hoof it away. It's the left winger of Georgia, Tadua. In comparison to his counterpart at wing on 14, he's had a rather quiet evening. And Portugal gained the advantage there. It's kicked out on the full. So the left winger not doing himself any justice there. He's been a little bit quiet. And he's kicked the ball out on the full there. Smart play there from the fullback, Nuno Sosa Guedes. Might be a little bit enticing to play that ball, but he let it go over the line. And Portugal now inside Georgia's half. Get a clean line-out ball straight down the middle. Berton Currie. Marquez. It's a little bit scrappy. It's centre field on Georgia's 10-meter mark. A show and go. Here's the ball out to Rafael Storti. It's simply sensational. It's so nice. He had to do it twice. Rafael Storti, you beauty. And Portugal hit the lead. It all came from a few phases back when they turned over the ball. They hoofed it upfield. The Georgian left winger, Alexander Tadua, put the ball out on the full. And from that line out, Portugal were able to set up a platform. And that man, Rafael Storti, again, this time inside and outside. Geronimo Portello finding his man. And there's no stopping this right wing of Portugal. I'm sure the French clubs are looking out for him. What a finisher, what a try for Portugal. Samuel Marquez now with the opportunity to put Portugal 5 points clear. It's about 20 meters out. It's sailing and over. 18 points to 13. The Portuguese fans are going dilly because of that man. He's inspired a nation. Forget about Cristiano Ronaldo for now. It's Rafael Storti. Look at the coaching box. Look at the fans. It's incredible. Even the subs bench They've been on the field. They know what it's like. Francesco Fernandez celebrating with his team. He might not have been on the field, but he's part of this wonderful journey. And Portugal lead by 18 points to 13. We're just about closing in on the last quarter of this game. And unfortunately, Portugal now give away a penalty at this ruck. They're just outside the Portuguese 22, Georgia. The decision is clear. They're going for touch. They're 6 meters out. Luka Matkava on now for Abzandadze. He'll be running the show from 10. And Georgia now with the platform 6 meters out. It's not a clean ball for Georgia. Portugal has stolen the line out. What a moment in the 60th minute here in the Stade de Toulouse. In the bigger scheme of things, an incredible moment for Portugal. Their line-out's been shoddy all night. They've won a few, but now they've won against the throw. And just as I say that, their discipline lets them down. Not able to get the ball away and clear their 5 meter line. And Georgia, legal at the ruck, hands on the ball. Portugal have to face another onslaught. Here come Georgia. He's over the line. What does the referee say? It's held up. Portugal. Who is it that got in there? Managed to get underneath the ball carrier. What a wonderful bit of defense there. The captain was involved. What a moment to lead from the front for the captain of Portugal. And Samuel Marquez now with the goal line dropout, hoofs it deep. And back come Georgia via Niniashvili. Portugal play now. Wonderful clean out. They're on their 10 meter mark, playing from right to left. And Guedes comes in field. Marquez. They're a little bit flat. But there's gain line success post contact for Portugal now. Marquez. Nicholas Martins met hard there by the Georgian defense. And he shapes for a kick. It's high. It's well caught from Portugal. They're almost up to Georgia's 22 now. They're playing with a different sense of confidence. Surely now there's a momentum shift. Portugal shift the ball out wide. Storti now wrestling with the ball brought to ground, but making a valuable 2 or 3 meters. Portugal going a little bit back to go forward, but the main thing, they still are in possession of the ball. Marquez, Guedes, lovely little ball. Lovely laces tackle there from the captain, Sharikadze of Georgia. Tucked up against this left-hand touchline of Portugal as they want to break again. It's quick ball. Playing from left to right. Portugal with some space. And this time around, Georgia have to defend for their lives. David Costa takes it up, the reserve hooker from Marquez again. It's a little chip kick over the top. It's a catch in the air there from Akaki Tapusatse. And for a moment, Georgia breathed. The mark was taken. Getting some attention there, the right winger, but I'm sure he's okay. So for the moment, the momentum has been all Portugal. They have translated penalties to points. They've scored some wonderful tries through that man, Rafael Storti. But the job is not yet done. Georgia still back themselves as we are into this last quarter of this Pool C clash. We're on the 10-meter line, on this left-hand touchline, inside Georgia's territory. But Portugal vitally have a throw-in to set up another attack. Clean ball is what they want. Marcelo Ribeiro, I tell you, brother, what a second half for Portugal, man. I take it you're supporting Portugal. What's your score prediction there? Josh, I don't know much about Dwayne replacing Marco at this stage, but you're making me nervous here. What's going on? Portugal in possession inside their own half, but spreading it down this left-hand touchline. Slightly knocked on the hands have been good all night from Portugal, but this time in the sunshine, letting them down slightly. Vitally, though, Portugal still in the lead by 18 points to 13. For anyone who opened an account on Boyle Sports and you went with Portugal, this might be your day. Interesting, there's a lot of sunshine, but no water breaks today. So I think across the board, they won't be implementing water breaks. Don't see the point in the day game if they don't, why they would do it at night. So World Rugby communicates that from week to week. Georgia now with the feed. They definitely haven't stood back this afternoon to Georgia. Remember that first 35 minutes was all Georgia in a sense, especially in terms of territory. But if you look at the scoreboard, you'll see that Portugal have responded with intent, with class. What an outside back, Rafael Storti, remember the name. And a penalty to Portugal. The rugby gods all seem to be aligning here this afternoon up to this point, because Portugal put the pressure on. Look what it means to the players. David Wallace, Samuel Marquez. Absolute elation from the Portuguese. Marcelo, I'm with you, my brother. I say let the better team win, and for now it's how you close the game off, not how you started. Georgia started well, but Portugal responding, isn't that something sensational? Alan, what's your score prediction there? Marcelo, what's your score prediction, my brother? Mike Teixeira, an indifferent afternoon feeding the line out, but it's just a timing issue. And for Portugal now, need to get their timing right. And as I say that, lose another line out, but get the ball back somehow. It's not clean, but it's theirs. The referee says it's backwards. No knock on, and Portugal about 20 meters out from the right-hand touchline. Playing to the left-hand side towards centre field, about 12 meters out from Georgia's try line. Marquez, wonderful carry there for Portugal. They still have possession. It's a skip ball out wide. They're going to find that man, Storti. Just no space. He's wrapped up. Couldn't control the ball in contact in Georgia now. The fans in slight disbelief. They know whatever he puts his hands on, he scores. But this time around, no space for the winger. And Georgia again have an opportunity to exit. Very close to their own try line, tucked up against this right-hand touch line. Alan says the score is going to stay the same. Man, what a moment that would be then for Portugal. Georgia have had their number across the board, as we mentioned, as history would have it. But when it mattered most, or when it matters most, Portugal come up with a win. It's still early to celebrate for the fans, but nonetheless, a moment to savor and cherish for many years to come. But Georgia not giving up just yet. They'll need to exit here, though. Don't see them playing from deep. And Georgia have a free kick from this ensuing scrum. Early engagement from Portugal. So with a clear opportunity now, no pressure on him there. From Matkava, clears the lines. But again, hands possession back to Portugal on the 10-meter mark on this right-hand touchline. As we see Portugal replace Mike Teixeira. Looks like the fans of Portugal singing their national anthem with pride. They know what it means. They win the ball at the line out now, Portugal. Centre field, playing towards his left-hand touchline. Over the 10-meter mark, inside Georgia's territory. Go, Portugal. Lovely ball there, finding space, letting the ball do the work. Storti again. He's away. He's about 3 meters from a hat-trick, but brought to ground. Rafael Storti. You can't quite keep him out of the game. A little disappointed with himself. You can see he sets high expectations. But Georgia there with their hands in their mouth. For a second there on defense. Slipping one or two. But just in time coming across to stop that man. What has he got on him? Is there some of Q20? You just can't seem to catch the man. Rafael Storti already with 2 tries tonight, just coming up short for Portugal. Yeah, Marcelo, I agree with you. I wonder which French club perhaps would be looking at phoning him this evening and telling him to come to training post World Cup. Who do you think? Do you think there's a club that would take him? Because he seems like a wonderful finisher. So nice to see players not renowned in Tier 1. We're all on the same level. I just think given the opportunity, there's players out there that would surprise us all. And that's the wonderful thing that the World Cup does, is it brings individual players from any country and gives them the platform to maybe shape a life for themselves in this beautiful game. Make their family, make themselves proud. As Portugal come away with possession now from the line out, just about centre field, outside Georgia's 22. But crucially, Portugal still in possession. Marquez running the ship tonight at 9 has been very efficient. So we mentioned a guy like Storti, but in order for him to finish, he needs to be fed efficient ball. And Samuel Marquez has not only kicked the goals, but has also been really, really efficient at the breakdown. But Portugal, unfortunately, infringing at that ruck. A slight break in momentum, but not the place where Georgia want to be attacking from. They kick for touch. They're just about in Portugal's half now with the feed on this right-hand touchline. Yeah, Florian, I hear you. Come on, Georgia. So we want to swing it both ways. For me, I'm just supporting great rugby. It's wonderful to see these two teams competing at this stage. They don't always get the opportunity. But for Portugal, at the moment, still in the lead. We're only 9 minutes out from full time now, and Georgia are inside Portugal's 10-meter mark now, playing center field from right to left. Playing towards this left-hand touchline of Portugal. Defending. There's a break in play here as Portugal make a substitution. Pedro Lucas is on. He'll be replacing the scrum of Samuel Marquez. Pedzaladze there taking the ball up. I'm not sure if they're checking the post contact there. But someone from Georgia is still down. There's a break in play, but Samuel Marquez has had a wonderful game this evening, the scrum off. Kicked some vital goals. Only missed that conversion on the right-hand touchline after that wonderful Portugal try. So he can be proud. He's represented his country with everything he's had tonight. The fans standing and cheering him on. There's some tired bodies out there. Players laying from both sides. I think the referee wants to get a move on. In fact, the restart will be a scrum. I think it was another player safety issue there. It will be a Portuguese feed. Center field between their own 10-meter mark and 22. Pedro Lucas. Georgia put the pressure on here. But Portugal miraculously come away with possession and secure the ball. Lucas calling his forwards around the corner here. They must secure the ball. It's advantage, Portugal. I think it's only a scrum advantage. But here they are. Little bit of enterprising play there from Portela. But it's a penalty advantage. I beg your pardon. And Portugal now inside their own half have an opportunity to clear for touch and set up an attacking play and close off this game and potentially get home and reach a historic victory in Portuguese rugby history. They've never won a Rugby World Cup game. Remember, they only represented their country at the 2007 tournament. Nonetheless, if it doesn't happen now, and if it does happen now, perhaps when will it ever happen again for Portugal? So a wonderful moment. Portugal with the feed, clean take in front. Portela finds his outside centre, Betancourt. Portela again, heavily involved. Directing his troops, Pedro Lucas. It's a short ball. Play on, says the referee. We're on the centre field now, just over the halfway line. Georgia regather. Akaki Tapusatse has been a little bit outshined by his opposite number, Rafael Storti, and that's by no means a disrespect to the number 14 of Georgia. There's just been moments of brilliance in this game. But Georgia come away with it now. It's not over yet. Portugal have to defend for their lives. They're inside their own half. Georgia keep possession. Center field, 10 meters inside Portugal's territory. Making a few meters, but the defense is strong. Lobzanidze at the base, the replacement scrum off. They've only made 6 meters and it's been 6 phases. So not ideal for Georgia. Bedzeladze bumps off one, but he's brought to ground. They're on the 10-meter mark now. Inside Portuguese territory. Can Portugal hold on? There's space here. Lovely defense. But Georgia still hold on. Kokadze, the number 8 of Georgia. It's 15 phases and Georgia know this is it. Lobzanidze. We're into the 22 almost of Portugal. Playing towards center field now. Portugal, stout in defense. They won't have this moment again. They know they have to be focused here, but Georgia shift it down to the right-hand touchline and a penalty here. Referee Paul Williams judging there, Pedro Lucas. The ball was not out. A little bit hasty there. And immediately Metcalfe chooses to go for this touch. We're right on this right-hand touchline. We're only 6 meters out from the Portuguese try line. Georgia with one final attempt with less than 2 minutes or less than 3 minutes to play. Here at the Stade de Toulouse. Georgia get the ball safely. It's a maul. Everybody's in there. Metcalfe the fly off. The captain, Cherikadze. Bedzeladze. What does the referee say? There's so many bodies involved. Betancourt, Thibaut de Freitas, the replacement of Portugal. And this is going to be a crucial decision from the referee. What a time to make such a decision. It is going up to the TMO, folks. Marcelo, how are you feeling, brother? Yo, Andrew, I hear you. SUPERBRU can sometimes throw you off. You think one team has got it, and then all of a sudden, like the other night, for example, France, Uruguay, 27-13. I didn't see that one coming. But for the moment, a crucial decision here from the TMO. There's 2 minutes to play. And this is a decision that will decide literally which team will win the game, because Georgia, should they score, level the scores and have an opportunity to kick the conversion. We called, perhaps, is there any opportunity for a draw? I wouldn't say we called it. I think it was lingering, as the odds would say, 1 in 300, 1 in 30, 1 in 50. Doesn't quite always happen in rugby. And in fact, it is a try to Georgia. The scores are level. What incredible scenes here at the Stade de Toulouse. Tengizi Zamtaradze, the replacement hooker, has gone over for the try. the conversion to come, and Georgia now can take this game right away from Portugal at the very death. Talk about being 2 minutes away from glory. There it is. Tengizi Samtaradze for Georgia. The replacement fly-off. Luka Matkava has the opportunity to give Georgia a 2-point lead. There will be a restart. It's not all over. But here it is from Matkava. It's sailing. It's sailing. And the scores stay level. It's 18 points all. If you put a draw on this game on Boyle Sports, well, why don't you go and buy yourself a cake and enjoy it? Because this is incredible scenes at the Stade de Toulouse. They share 18 points apiece. There's one final play. It will be Nuno Sueso Guedes for Portugal to kick off. And we have our first draw of Rugby World Cup 2023, but it's a penalty to Portugal. I don't believe it. But if the referee says it, I have to believe it. Holding on at the ruck. Portugal now. This will be the final play. This will be an opportunity to win it. Just as I said, there'll be a draw. The first draw at this Rugby World Cup. Portugal. The intensity is still there. It's the 80th minute. Look at the coach's box. And Nuno Sueso Guedes with the opportunity to win it for Portugal. Marcelo, are you holding thumbs there, brother? What intensity, Alan. On the 80th minute to win a turnover penalty. The bench having a look at this kick. Guedes shaping to kick now. Follows through. It's sailing. It's sailing. It's not over. It is a draw. The game is over for Portugal. There's a sense of disbelief. The referee blows the final whistle as the ball goes dead. Marcelo, I'm sorry, but what a result. What a wild game in Group C. They share the spoils here at the Stade de Toulouse. After some enterprising play from the winger, Rafael Storti, not to mention the winger of Georgia, Akaki Tabuzadze. But Georgia and Portugal share the spoils, 18 points apiece here at the Stade de Toulouse. What a game. Thank you. Until next time.